Chapter 4:14. Even Zhang Kuang, who was as domineering as a dragon. Facing the women of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he still had no room to fight back. In terms of quarreling, he was naturally not as good as these people. Just you wait. These stinky women, I will make you pay the price one by one. Zhang Kuang couldn't wait to immediately take action. He wanted to put the people in front of him on the ground and use the world's strongest flame to roast them into a pile of cooked meat. Only then would he be able to eliminate the hatred in his heart. The battle on the stage continued. Seeing that Li Zongjiu had dealt with Nie Tianhong, Meng Yu also started to think. Meng Yu also had some thoughts as he looked at Mu Qingyun beside him. No matter what, he had to win back this point first. Mu Qingyun also saw Meng Yu's gaze and became slightly worried. However, on the surface, she still maintained a stable posture. At the same time, she stabilized her own state and used the most stable state to deal with the next change. Li Zongjiu's medicine cauldron shouldn't have been empty, but in fact, Li Zongjiu's medicinal liquid hadn't been thrown out. Instead, it had remained in the medicinal cauldron. The liquid that had flown into Nie Tianhong's medicinal cauldron was nothing more than a flame. If one didn't have enough eyesight, they wouldn't be able to see the changes in the medicine liquid. And Zhang Kuang saw it. Therefore, in Zhang Kuang's eyes, Li Zongjiu was clearly playing tricks. He secretly used tricks to frame Nie Tianhong, which was why Nie Tianhong lost. Yang Shui, Lin Zi, and the others naturally saw it. However, they naturally stood on Li Zongjiu's side and tried their best to protect Li Zongjiu's interests. After Li Zongjiu had dealt with Nie Tianhong, Kun Erasure did not summon his original spirit. After all, Kun Arashi's original spirit was also good at fighting. If it appeared, it could easily deal with Nie Tianhong. However, it would also easily expose his original spirit. Meng Yu suddenly shouted in a low voice. He condensed the power of flames around his body and blasted it towards Mu Qingyun. Mu Qingyun sensed Meng Yu's movement. Although he was prepared, he was still intimidated by this terrifying flame. Boom! However, before the flame could reach Meng Yu, it was blocked by a firewall. The might of a level 4 flame was extremely fierce, and Li Zongjiu was able to easily burn down the flame released by Meng Yu, and assimilate it, causing Meng Yu's flame to lose its might. Mu Qingyun breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to thank Li Zongjiu, he heard a loud sound coming from Kun Arashi's position. The medicinal cauldron in front of Kun Erasure was directly sent flying dozens of meters into the air. Upon seeing this, Kun Erasure immediately released his yuan power. Like an invisible giant hand, he grabbed his medicinal cauldron back. The elixir within the medicinal cauldron was nearly destroyed. Damn it! I almost died. The temperature within the medicinal cauldron had already become chaotic. Lan Kun had to increase the output of his yuan power before he was able to suppress the chaotic energy within the medicinal cauldron. Otherwise, if the chaos continued, the medicinal liquid that he had painstakingly refined would be destroyed in an instant. Currently, there was still a portion of the medicinal ingredients that had not been completely refined. Now that he was attacked by his opponent, Kun Arashi's heart was in a bad mood. Li Zongjiu was expressionless. Meng Yu's move was naturally nothing in front of Li Zongjiu. In fact, Li Zongjiu had already seen through his opponent's intentions, but he purposely let him have his way this time. Otherwise, how could Meng Yu's confidence increase and become even bolder? You are only a so-so. I thought you were more omnipotent. Meng Yu laughed heartily. Among the three of them, Meng Yu originally thought that only Li Zongjiu would be able to contend against him and hold on for a while. But now, it seemed that these people were completely useless. Meng Yu had only used a small trick to cause his opponent to be flustered. Next, the few of you will show me what it means to be an expert. All of a sudden, Meng Yu released his mental power. Like a vast giant net, it immediately covered Li Zongjiu, Mu Qingyun, and Kun Arashi's medicinal cauldrons. The mental energy seemed to have become a bridge that linked the three medicinal cauldrons. Then, the power of these three people was directly absorbed into Meng Yu's medicinal cauldron. What a strong mental energy! Mu Qingyun's heart was suddenly shocked. Outside his medicinal cauldron, there was a force that was resisting, preventing his yuan power from being transmitted into the medicinal cauldron. If he forcefully broke through, the medicinal liquid within the medicinal cauldron would definitely be damaged. Therefore, Mu Qingyun and Kun Erisher did not dare to act rashly. Not good. This is Meng Yu's mental energy. It's actually so strong that he can use the mental energy bridge. Seeing this scene, Yang Xuelin suddenly said. Meng Yu's mental energy was too strong. Therefore, even some of the onlookers could see the emergence of the mental energy. Around the mental energy, they could even see the flames flowing and diffusing. Meng Yu's mental energy has already reached the 4th level. Mo Suli was also extremely shocked. The cultivation of mental strength was also a high-level course for alchemists. It required enough time and energy to deal with it. But after all, one had to first grasp the medicinal theory. If one wanted to raise their mental energy, it would require a large amount of time. Moreover, cultivation was something that one should not bite off more than they could chew. Even Mo Suli's mental energy was only at the 3rd level. The realm of the 3rd level had not reached the 4th level. Even refining ordinary elixirs did not require the use of mental energy. Even with Mo Suli's talent, he was only at this realm. Meng Yu had actually reached the 4th level. Just by relying on mental energy, he could kill a Yuan Zong expert without even moving his hands. This Meng Yu is indeed from the Qingyuan manor. There are many experts in the Qingyuan manor, crouching tigers and hidden dragons. The strength of Meng Yu's mental energy shows that his relationship with the Qingyuan manor is not shallow. Seeing this, Su Hong's eyes were filled with astonishment. Obviously, even Su Hong did not expect that Meng Yu's mental energy had already reached such a realm. Moreover, he could already use mental energy as a bridge to plunder the power of other people's cauldrons. Therefore, no matter how hard they tried to refine their cauldrons, they were only making a wedding dress for others. Li Zongjiu, aren't you very capable? Today, in front of everyone, I will collect the debt from before. Immediately, the power of the Sea of Fire within the Yuan inscription array rolled. Meng Yu actually split out another strand of mental energy and used this strand of mental energy to condense into a flaming palm. Suddenly, he slapped towards Li Zongjiu's face. This was a slap to Li Zongjiu's face in front of tens of thousands of people. Being able to have such thoughts was naturally an act of courting death. Before the flaming palm could land on Li Zongjiu's body, it had completely disappeared. Obviously, it had been directly weakened by a force. What? Meng Yu was shocked. Looking at Li Zongjiu's calm appearance, it seemed that he was not worried that his cauldron would be taken away. With just you, I'm afraid that you will never be able to avenge yourself. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Meng Yu seemed to have thought of something. When he looked at Li Zongjiu, his gaze fell on Li Zongjiu's eyes. There seemed to be an illusory flying knife rushing towards Meng Yu. It directly pierced into Meng Yu's body. Meng Yu was so scared that he cried out in alarm. However, when he recovered, he found that there was nothing wrong with his body. Mental energy? It actually caused me to hallucinate. Meng Yu recalled the previous situation. Li Zongjiu must have used some kind of trick to scare Meng Yu. The surrounding audience suddenly cried out in alarm. At this moment, Meng Yu suddenly woke up. When he looked at his cauldron, Meng Yu was completely shocked. How is this possible? The mental energy bridge that Meng Yu had built before. Originally, the mental energy bridge was used to absorb the medicinal liquid from the three people's cauldrons. However, at this moment, the mental energy bridge was flowing in reverse. Originally, the three people's cauldrons were absorbing the medicinal liquid from the three people's cauldrons under the mental energy bridge. However, at this moment, Meng Yu's cauldron was flowing energy back to the three people's cauldrons through the mental energy bridge. Originally, he wanted to fight 1 against 3, but now, it seems that it was just wishful thinking. With just this level of mental energy, in front of Li Zongjio, there was nothing to be arrogant about. My mental energy, why can't I control it? Meng Yu suddenly felt that his mental energy was trapped by a very strong force. As a result, Meng Yu had no way to mobilize this energy, and could only watch as the energy in his cauldron was completely divided up. And the one who caused all of this to happen was this annoying Li Zongjio. Give me back my medicinal liquid. Give me back my mental energy. Meng Yu immediately became furious. I'll give it back to you, then I'll give it back to you. Immediately, in front of Li Zongjio, flames instantly formed into an axe. As the axe rotated, it directly chopped down on the mental energy bridge. Boom! The axe fiercely chopped down, causing Meng Yu to spit out a mouthful of blood. Puff! The cauldron in front of Meng Yu, because the energy was too chaotic, and Meng Yu's spiritual energy trembled, it directly exploded with a boom. Meng Yu was directly sent flying. Bang! He heavily fell to the ground. Not only was his body severely injured, but even his mental energy was also severely damaged. Once his mental energy was damaged, the price he would have to pay to recover it would be extraordinarily frightening. Chapter 4:15. When Zhang Kuang saw that Meng Yu had gained the upper hand, he wanted to show off a little and taunt Yang Xuelin and the others. However, when he saw that Meng Yu was also sent flying off the stage, Zhang Kuang didn't expect such a miserable situation. As their biggest trump card, he was actually killed so easily. Didn't this mean that the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor had become a one-man show? The moment Meng Yu fell off the stage, Li Zongjio and the other two became the pride of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. This was a scene that could be described as a true hero, no matter how many opponents you send out. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor was also in the top 3. The King's Academy's attitude was also fully displayed, and no one could say anything about it. With the 4 Seas Medicine Manor's strength, it would take them at least 20 years to catch up to the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Jiang Bieyuan suddenly understood when he saw this scene. Just Li Zongjio's generation alone was enough to take the top spot and occupy the glory for a long time. This was a problem that couldn't be solved from the root. That was because the Heavenly Stellar Medicine Manor was also a big deal in this continent. However, after the Heavenly Stellar Medicine Manor's reputation had spread, the Heavenly Stellar Medicine Manor had become more low-key. Otherwise, the continent would be filled with news about the Heavenly Stellar Medicine Manor. How could it be the 4 Seas Medicine Manor's turn to stand out? In the eyes of the crowd, the 3 figures sitting on the alchemy platform were the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's declaration to the world. One must know that the 3 of them were only new students of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor this year. If they were so strong as new students, it would mean that they were already very strong when they entered the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. However, it was also because of this that they chose to enter the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Moreover, the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor was able to choose them from the many people who signed up. It was a kind of appreciation between experts. The 2 of you can go through a trial. However, I'm afraid that I won't be able to refine the elixir. Mu Qingyun smiled bitterly. When Meng Yu was absorbing the essence, he focused on Mu Qingyun. Therefore, Mu Qingyun's alchemy cauldron was in a mess. He didn't even know what the ingredients of the essence were, and it was already insufficient to refine the elixir. Mu Qingyun immediately calmed down his alchemy cauldron. At the same time, the Yuan rune array under him slowly dissipated. He retreated off the stage safe and sound. Meng Yu was quite powerful. Even when he was already dead, he still managed to drag Mu Qingyun down. However, in front of Li Zongjio, he was an opponent who could be easily. Only Li Zongjio and Lan Kun were left on the battlefield. Lan Kun glanced at Li Zongjio. Heavenly Star Medicine Sect, said Heavenly Rose Li, to be honest. Kun Erisher grinned. There was a feeling of bravery in his eyes. Although he knew that there was a gap between him and Li Zongjio, Kun Erisher didn't care. Previously, he had already seen how powerful Li Zongjiu's Yuan rune was. This time, he wanted to see how powerful Li Zongjiu's alchemy was. Hearing Kun Arashi's words, the corners of Li Zongjiu's mouth twitched. In terms of alchemy, you are still far from it. As Li Zongjiu's voice faded, he slammed his palm on the alchemy cauldron in front of him. Instantly, the alchemy cauldron shattered. However, the surrounding flames quickly filled up the gap and built the alchemy cauldron in front of Li Zongjiu. It was all condensed from the power of the flames. A fire cauldron. Obviously, the material of the cauldron could no longer satisfy Li Zongjiu's requirements. However, controlling this flame to condense into such a large medicinal cauldron was also a matter that consumed a lot of energy. When the fire cauldron appeared, the fire elemental mark under it actually strengthened on its own. Strange, why is the power of this Yuan rune formation becoming stronger by itself? Its power is constantly increasing. Someone noticed that the Yuan rune array was supposed to sense itself, but now it was being raised on its own. Either Li Zongjiu did something, or the elder controlling the Yuan rune array did something. The elder in front of the Yuan rune formation was also shocked. Damn, it has nothing to do with me. It's that brat who activated the power of the Yuan inscription formation. The elder hurriedly said when he saw the situation. Otherwise, others would think that he had been bribed to cause trouble. Wouldn't that ruin his reputation? How did that brat do it? If it continues to grow, it will reach the 5th level. 5th level flames. Even a Yuan monarch elite would find it difficult to withstand it for 15 minutes. Even Su Hong and the others who were on the high platform straightened up their bodies. It wouldn't be a big deal if it was just to stand out. However, Li Zongjiu had directly activated the 5th level flames. This proved that Li Zongjiu's potential wasn't as simple as just being a student. Even some of the elders of the Four Seas Medicine Manor might not be able to withstand this 5th level flames. Furthermore, it was impossible for him to refine a water-based elixir under such a tyrannical external force. Li Zongjiu is actually using all the power for his own use. An elder shouted as he pointed at Li Zongjiu. Although this was impolite behavior, he couldn't help but shout out his discovery when he saw the power flowing in Li Zongjiu's body. When everyone heard this, they took a closer look. Sure enough, they saw that the sudden increase in the power of the flames didn't affect Li Zongjiu at all. Instead, it was all channeled into the fire cauldron in front of him. This caused the power of the fire cauldron to increase continuously. Li Zongjiu's body actually didn't receive any damage, which was even more shocking. This kind of power control was really terrifying. Kun Arashir watched Li Zongjiu's operation. Although he was also trying his best to catch up, Kun Arashir chose to give up in the face of Li Zongjiu's strength. He really didn't have the courage to chase after Li Zongjiu, as the latter was completely different. However, Kun Arashi's results were also not bad. Under the 4th level flame, he successfully refined the elixir. Kun Arashir didn't leave the field, but controlled the elixir in front of him to immerse it in the cauldron. At the same time, he was able to observe Li Zongjiu's aura more closely. Li Zongjiu was seriously refining the medicinal liquid in the fire cauldron. Li Zongjiu's power had even reached the pinnacle of purity. However, Li Zongjiu did not stop there. The flames were boiling. The medicinal liquid was also constantly boiling. The temperature is so high. What is he trying to do? Some people could even see that the medicinal liquid was about to be unable to withstand the high temperature and was gradually evaporating. However, the fire cauldron was also a sealed space and there was nowhere to escape. All the medicinal liquid has been purified and cooled down after evaporation. However, the temperature in the fire cauldron is exploding. How can the medicinal liquid vaporize and cool down again? Qi Yanran saw Li Zongjiu's actions. In the current alchemy environment, this method could be considered as one of the more advanced ones. However, very few people could use it in such an occasion. After all, if there was even the slightest injury, they would lose a great opportunity to participate in the competition. How could they prepare for such a risk? Participating in the competition was a serious action. Everyone was on tenterhooks to ensure that nothing would go wrong. However, Li Zongjiu acted as if nothing had happened and used this method to treat this competition as an experiment. What Qi Yanran didn't know was that in their eyes, this was an experiment. But for Li Zongjiu, it was already a walk in the park, a walk in the park. In the previous round, with your strength, you were able to trigger the pill lightning. However, in the end, you were still a little lacking. Today, you should feel the pill lightning and then see what you lack. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Kun Arashi's eyes almost popped out. What did he mean? Was he trying to trigger the pill lightning? Just as Li Zongjiu's voice fell, a dull thunderous intent rose in the sky. The clear sky suddenly changed. Light fell and everyone felt as if a shadow was shrouding their heads. Soon, dark clouds gathered again. Thunder clouds again. Li Zongjiu also triggered the pill lightning. Pill lightning. Damn it. Didn't they say that only pills that surpassed the complete realm could trigger the pill lightning? Could it be that the first years of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor are all monsters? With Zhang Kuang's help and Meng Yu's recovery ability, although he was seriously injured, Meng Yu quickly woke up. Li Zongjiu, the intense pain that came from all over his body made Zhang Kuang want to kill Li Zongjiu. Not only did he suffer internal injuries, his mental strength was also severely injured, causing Meng Yu to be in extreme pain. However, when Meng Yu opened his eyes and saw the pill lightning that Li Zongjiu had triggered, he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Pill lightning. That, as if he was angry that Li Zongjiu had actually triggered the pill lightning, Meng Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted again. Meng Yu, pull yourself together. Zhang Kuang anxiously shouted. Chapter 4:16. Thunderclouds filled the sky. At this moment, one could clearly see that there were thick bolts of lightning brewing within the thunderclouds. From time to time, electric sparks would sweep across the sky. At this moment, the black clouds were pressing down extremely low. Everyone at the scene, and even the people in the Four Seas Medicine Mansion, could clearly feel the heavy weight of the dark clouds. There was always a strong sense of oppression. It's actually pill lightning. Li Zongjiu has attracted pill lightning. What a strong will. In the face of such a strong will, I'm afraid that even our Medicine Manor's defensive array will not be able to withstand it. The appearance of the pill lightnings will cause all the alchemists present to be shocked. Just the power of the pill lightning alone was enough to shatter everything in this world. Even if it was not enough, it would still be more than enough to shatter the Four Herb Mountains. Everyone could not help but be shocked. At the same time, their hearts were also extremely shaken. Pill lightning. He has actually attracted pill lightning. Qi Yanran and Jiang Bieyuan both raised their heads and looked up. Even geniuses like them still felt weak and powerless in front of this pill lightning. They already had such a feeling in the face of the pill lightning that was attracted by others. If they were the ones who attracted the pill lightning, would they not tremble in fear under this pill lightning? From this, one could see just how terrifying the gap between them and Li Zongjiu was. It was not a difference in the grade of the pills that they had refined, but a true difference in cultivation realm. In the entire Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor, there are no more than 5 people who can attract pill lightning. This Li Zongjiu really has some tricks up his sleeve. When Yang Xuelin saw that Li Zongjiu had summoned pill lightning, her expression changed. Her expression immediately changed. In the past, he thought that Li Zongjiu was very arrogant and even wanted to find an opportunity to teach him a lesson. However, after seeing Li Zongjiu summon the pill lightning, he completely changed his view of Li Zongjiu. It wasn't just the people from the Four Seas Medicine Manor. In the distant Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and even the Imperial Palace, there were a few people who were looking at the condensed pill lightning in the sky. As long as one was a Yuan King elite, they could clearly feel the power of the pill lightning. Foresees Medicine Manor. Could it be that little girl named Qi Yanran? Within the palace, an old man wearing a long white robe stood in the courtyard. He looked in the direction where the pill lightning had appeared and calculated its location with his fingers. That's not right. That girl is still far from it. Recently, the 3 great medicine manors are holding a competition to concoct medicine. From the looks of it, it should be someone from the 3 great medicine manors. Is it Meng Yu from the Qingyuan Manor or the disciple of the Southern Heaven Pill King, Nie Tianhong? Or has another monstrous genius appeared in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor? Clearly, the old man in white robes was very familiar with the alchemy geniuses in the city. However, based on his understanding, he also knew that given the strength of these people, it was impossible for them to summon the pill lightning. Within the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, in front of the Genius Tower, a man in an alchemist's robe had just walked out of the Genius Tower and coincidentally saw the appearance of the pill lightning. Oh. I have only been in seclusion for half a year and a genius who can summon the pill lightning has actually appeared in the Foresees Medicine Manor. Not to mention the students, even if an instructor came, it would not be easy to trigger the pill lightning. Senior Brother Gua. You have come out of seclusion. A student who was passing by was shocked when he saw the man in front of him. He immediately became excited when he saw Senior Brother Gua. Senior Brother Gua was so excited that he was almost speechless. After all, Senior Brother Gua was ranked 4th on the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's Alchemy Master ranking. In addition to his young and handsome appearance, Senior Brother Gua had also become the object of admiration in the hearts of many female students. Moreover, Senior Brother Gua was born with humble roots. After he developed such a powerful alchemy talent, he became humble and peaceful, giving people the demeanor of a disciple of a great family. He had also become the role model of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor many times. The Alchemy Master ranking was only a comprehensive ranking. It did not represent absolute strength. Senior Brother Gua's alchemy realm had already passed the Heavenly Pill Pavilion's Grade 5 Beginner Alchemy Master ranking half a year ago. Now that he had come out of seclusion, he might have continued to make breakthroughs. The reason why Senior Brother Gua was so famous was because of his amazing talent. 2 years ago, when he entered the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, he was only a Grade 2 beginner alchemist. However, in these 2 years, he had directly leaped to become a Grade 5 alchemist. How could this terrifying leap not cause people to be shocked, envious, and respectful? Greetings, junior brothers. I am in a hurry to find Vice Dean Qi Dan. Farewell. Gua Si cupped his hands and said, then turned and left. So polite. Strong but not arrogant. If it were other senior brothers, their noses would probably be raised to the sky. The students were extremely impressed by Gua Si's polite behavior. This was how his reputation spread. That's right. I've heard that this year's freshmen are simply a bunch of thorns. Especially the leader, the one surnamed Li. He only has a little talent, but he's already so arrogant. Such a person will be dealt with sooner or later. If Senior Brother Gua meets him, he will definitely teach him how to behave in a minute. These people gathered together and said one after another. Obviously, they had already complained about Li Zongjiu and the others. The reason why they hated Li Zongjiu so much was that his talent was too strong, and he was rude to them. If Li Zongjiu heard these words, he would definitely kick them one by one and teach them how to behave. Foresees Medicine Manor. On the field, Li Zongjiu had already become a one-man show. Everyone's eyes were focused on Li Zongjiu. It was obviously a competition, but it had become a one-man show. Only Li Zongjiu could do this. After all, these so-called geniuses were just a pile of trash in his eyes. The thundercloud is very strong. I wonder how many bolts of pill lightning will fall. Kuan Erisher stared at the pill lightning cloud in the sky without blinking. Suddenly, the boiling power had condensed to the extreme. At this moment, there was a sudden rumble and it fell directly on Li Zongjiu. Boom! The pill lightning was covered in fire, with a hint of purple in the green. There seemed to be a lightning snake hidden within. As it fell, it had an aura that could destroy everything. Go! Li Zongjiu did not retreat in the face of the pill lightning. Instead, he slapped the pill and pushed it forward. If it was an ordinary person, they would definitely use some powerful yuan tools to block the attacks unleashed by the other party and block the pill lightning. After all, the pill lightning was used to destroy the medicinal pill. Only after the medicinal pill withstood the pill lightning would it be safe and sound. If an elixir were to face such a terrifying pill lightning, it would naturally be smashed into pieces. Therefore, alchemists would usually block it themselves in order to protect their pills. Li Zongjiu's move was clearly to give the pill away. Is Li Zongjiu crazy? He is actually using a pill to block the power of the lightning. Countless people had such a thought in their minds at the same time. However, the next scene disappointed everyone. With a boom, the pill lightning struck the black pill. The thunderbolt energy that exploded out in an instant almost shattered the elixir into pieces. Shattering into pieces was not enough to describe it. Countless small fragments were directly smashed into smithereens. However, although the pill was shattered, it did not dissipate. However, it didn't scatter with the wind. Many people couldn't see it clearly because the lightning was too powerful. It was too fast. However, Kun Arashir could see it clearly. In Kun Arashi's eyes, he could clearly see that although the pill was shattered and seemed to have lost its vitality in an instant, it was able to use the attraction between the lightning and the lightning to form an inextricable connection. At the moment when the pill was shattered, it instantly gathered its power again. Using lightning to quench the pill. Kun Arashi's eyes widened. He had only seen such a high-level technique in books. It was rumored that some alchemists in the ancient times were able to achieve such a level. Using the power of all things in the world to quench the pill. The more powerful it was, the more thorough the quenching of the pill would be. A bolt of lightning flashed past. Not only did it not shatter the pill, but it also purified the pill in an instant. Many people could not believe their eyes when they saw such a scene. How could such a situation happen? How could a mere pill withstand the power of the lightning? However, the scene in front of them was actually able to withstand it. It was beyond everyone's expectations. Although Yang Xuelin had confidence in Li Zongjiu, she could not help but break out in a cold sweat when she saw Li Zongjiu using such a risky method to quench the pill. This kid is playing us to death. Yang Xuelin could not wait to pull Li Zongjiu off the stage and give him a good beating. How dare he scare them like this? However, after the first bolt of lightning, the thunderclouds did not dissipate. One could see that the power seemed to be brewing a second bolt of lightning. If such a bolt of lightning continued to fall, the pill would definitely shatter. Li Zongjiu also reached out to grab the pill. The pill gradually sank in Li Zongjiu's hand. However, the bolt of lightning would directly strike Li Zongjiu. If he did not let go of the pill, the bolt of lightning would not admit that he was innocent. Let go of the pill. Kun Arashir roared. However, as soon as he shouted, he saw the bolt of lightning falling from the sky. The power of the bolt of lightning was more than 10 times stronger than before. Boom! Chapter 4:17. Kun Arashir wasn't the only one who sensed the danger. Even Su Hong, Sun Yu, and the rest could feel the terrifying aura. With Li Zongjiu's strength, he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the power of the lightning. Strike him to death. Strike him to death. Ha! Heaven will punish those who are despicable. Zhang Kuang burst into laughter when he saw this scene. His eyes were filled with pride. If he could directly strike Li Zongjiu to death, the anger in his heart would dissipate. It would be best if Li Zongjiu was directly struck to death by the lightning. At the very least, he would be severely injured. Zhang Kuang thought to himself as the terrifying light engulfed everyone's eyes. They could see Li Zongjiu being engulfed by the lightning. Boom! A violent explosion occurred on the alchemy platform. Kuan Erasure was blown away and landed heavily on the ground. Fortunately, he had a strong yuan power to protect his body. Otherwise, the aftershock would have been enough to cause him serious injuries. Fuck. Where's boss? After Lan Kuan stood up, he saw that the original pill refining platform was now churning with a thick white fog, which surged into the clouds. Seeing this situation, Lan Kuan's heart was filled with despair. No matter who it was, they would only end up with their bodies smashed to smithereens in the face of such terrifying lightning energy. Is he dead? Ha! It's good that he's dead. Zhang Kuang widened his eyes as if he wanted to see the scene in the white fog. However, he couldn't see anything clearly. However, he could feel that there was no aura in the white fog. There was only one possibility. Li Zongjiu had been crippled. Who would have thought that Li Zongming would be so arrogant that he would be killed by the lightning? It was really satisfying. When this bolt of lightning fell from the sky, the audience also stood up one after another, wanting to see what was going on. It can't be, Yang Xuelin did not dare to believe it in her heart. However, after waiting for a while, there was still no movement. Immediately, the elders of the Four Seas Medicine Manor prepared to step forward and disperse the white fog. The dust was also lifted and scattered in the air, blocking the view. At that moment, a figure walked out of the thick fog. He was completely unscathed. However, the insides of his shoes were smashed. Under the cover of the white fog, Li Zongjiu took the time to change his clothes. However, he forgot to prepare a few more pairs of shoes. This time, he walked out in a pair of worn-out shoes. He's not dead. How is this possible? Zhang Kuang's eyes widened when he saw Li Zongjiu walk out. How was this possible? He could actually withstand such a level of pill lightning? There were 2 levels of pill lightning. Pill lightning of this level was very powerful. If it really spread out, even a Yuan King elite would not be able to withstand it. How did Li Zongjiu withstand it? Could it be that Li Zongjiu was a Yuan King elite? The audience at the scene saw this scene. Thunderous applause erupted from the originally silent venue at this moment. Cheers and applause filled the air. This was because Li Zongjiu's performance was really too shocking for them. From today onwards, Li Zongjiu's name would resound in the 3 great academies and even in the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion. Ha, good, good. Li Zongjiu is really good. Even Su Hong laughed loudly and clapped his hands repeatedly. Regardless of the final outcome, just surviving the pill lightning was already a miracle in itself. It was enough to make Su Hong satisfied. Furthermore, the elixir that Li Zongjiu had refined was an elixir that surpassed the complete realm. I hereby announce that the champion of this exchange competition is Li Zongjiu from Tianqin Medicine Manor. Su Hong announced loudly, his voice reaching the ears of everyone present. Yang Xuelin was extremely excited. This was her first time leading a team. The fact that these young team members were able to display such powerful strength also made Yang Xuelin extremely surprised and pleasantly surprised. Although Sun Yu did not seem to have changed much, the glint in his eyes made it clear that he was now like an ascetic monk. Even Sun Yu's eyes were shining. It was obvious that he was very satisfied with Li Zongjiu's performance. Nie Tianhong also woke up from his coma. His injuries were slightly better, and his mind was not damaged. However, he could not move for a long time. As soon as he recovered his hearing, he heard Su Hong's voice in his ear. He did not even have time to take a breath before his head tilted to the side and he fainted again. The entire audience was cheering for Li Zongjiu and Tianqin Medicine Manor's results. The strong would be worshipped by others. Especially Li Zongjiu, who had easily defeated them in the aspect of alchemy. On the awards ceremony stage, Li Zongjiu, Kuan Erasure, and Mu Qingyun were also rewarded. The top 3 were rewarded. In addition, there were also special rewards for Tianqin Medicine Manor. After all, as the champion of this competition, they had once again displayed their strength to these people. It also made the people of the Four Seas Medicine Manor know that there was still a huge gap between them and Tianjin Medicine Manor. As for the people of the Purple Pill Academy, they could only stand aside and watch. In such an occasion, they couldn't just leave as they wished. The two trump cards of the Purple Pill Academy had been turned into two useless cards in Li Zongjiu's hands. Li Zongjiu had easily defeated the two of them. Although the Purple Pill Academy had suffered a heavy blow and was extremely unhappy, they still had to stand here and watch Li Zongjiu and the others take away the rewards. Congratulations to the three of you. Mu Qingyun, third place in this year's competition. The Heavenly Pill Pavilion will reward you with a mid-grade 5 medicinal pill, the Kaiyuan Nature Pill. In addition, you will also receive an Elite Alchemist token. Middle grade 5 elixir, Kaiyuan Creation Elixir. When everyone heard the name of the elixir, their eyes widened. One must know that the Kaiyuan Creation Elixir was a rare treasure for people who cultivated Yuan power. It could expand one's meridians and even raise one's original aptitude by a level. It had the legendary effect of cleansing one's body. For people who had yet to cultivate Yuan power, it had a heaven-defying effect. This effect could help purify one's Yuan power. For those who had yet to come into contact with Yuan power, this elixir was a sacred object. Some people from big clans would also let their descendants consume this elixir. However, there was only one person in the entire Sacred Flame Royal City who could refine this elixir. That person was one of the 3 deputy pavilion masters of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion, Chu Taishan. The strength of this deputy pavilion master Chu Taishan was also infinitely close to the strength of the Southern Heaven Elixir King. If the two of them were to compete, it was hard to say who would win. Thank you, my lord. Mu Qingyun was naturally happy. This was an elixir personally refined by Lord Chu Taishan. It was something that could not be bought in the market. Kuan Erasure, your performance in this competition is not bad. The Heavenly Pill Pavilion will reward you with a Book of All Creation and an Elite Alchemist token. Chapter 418. The Book of All Creation. Only now did everyone understand why the Heavenly Pill Pavilion did not list out all the rewards at the very beginning. However, there were still some insiders who had ways to obtain this information. The appearance of the Book of All Creation was just too shocking. Even Kuan Erasure was extremely excited, as the value of this Book of All Creation was equivalent to the formula of a grade 5 elixir pill. The Book of All Creation recorded everything. Just the material rewards alone would naturally make one happy. However, to Kuan Erasure and the others, things like money were simply not worth their attention. The Shengyan dynasty had the ambition to rule the world, so they naturally had to have some understanding of all things. Every inch of land within their territory was also included in the Book of All Creation. However, the Book of All Creation that Kuan Erasure had obtained only contained the medicinal ingredients section. However, it was also extremely precious. This was because the medicinal ingredients section of the Book of All Creation was combined with a large amount of ancient literature and information. Now, 100 grade 5 alchemists, each accompanied by a Yuan monarch elite, were also included. During this period of time, there were detailed records of the medicinal ingredients that could be produced by various departments of the Shengyan dynasty. It was also known as the most complete book. It was equivalent to an encyclopedia. This was the collection of the dynasty. What was circulated in the outside world were all deleted and castrated versions. There were even pirated versions. The Book of All Creation in his hands also gave off a heavy feeling. This was the foundation of a great nation. One had to have absolute strength to be able to calculate the contents of this book in one's hands. To some people, this book might not even be as good as an elixir pill. However, Kuan Erasure was extremely fond of it. However, there was no sign of envy on Li Zongjiu's face. It was as if what Kuan Erasure had received was just a piece of trash. What Book of All Creation? In fact, many things in this book had not been examined. Although it seemed to be quite authoritative in front of some scholars, it was just a piece of trash in front of Li Zongjiu. However, Kun Erishur was still delighted. He repeatedly pondered over this book of all creation. It's actually the book of all creation. TSK, TSK, tisk. The corners of Sun Yu's mouth curled up slightly as he smacked his lips continuously. His eyes shone brightly as he stared at the book of all creation in Kun Arashi's hands from afar. If not for the fact that Kun Erishur was a disciple of his Heavenly Star Medicine Hall and a teacher, it would not be right for him to kill and rob him. Sun Yu would definitely not let go of this opportunity. However, since Kun Erishur was his student, then he must find an opportunity to borrow this book and read it. This was something that many alchemists dreamed of. There were countless herbs recorded in it, and the pharmacology of some herbs was also recorded and analyzed in great detail. There were even some hidden attributes that were discovered. Li Zongjiu, your performance has greatly surprised me. This is an alchemist token bestowed by the imperial family. The holder of this token will be ranked 4th grade, and will be granted 3,000 mu of land and 3,000 mercenaries. With a wave of Su Hong's hand, a female servant behind him presented a golden box. Within the box was a token. The 2 words Holy Flame were engraved on the token. Just these 2 words alone were enough to cause one to feel a searing heat. It was indeed worthy of being an item of the imperial family. With such majesty, an ordinary person would not be able to withstand this token. It's not easy to obtain the right to be bestowed by the royal emperor. With this medallion, other than being promoted, there will be countless geniuses challenging you. Even the members of the Royal Pill Pavilion in the Royal Palace would challenge you. Do you dare to accept this medallion? Su Hong said in a deep voice. At this moment, his body was releasing a solemn aura. He stared at Li Zongjiu. He wanted to see if Li Zongjiu could pick up this token. Even if Li Zongjiu could pick up this token, it was still unknown whether Li Zongjiu had the ability to keep this token. But obviously, Su Hong worried too much. Li Zongjiu was not a young man who had not seen the world. He directly took the token and weighed it in his hand. It's actually made of fire essence gold. No wonder it's so extraordinary. Seeing Li Zongjiu easily take this token, Su Hong's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. He nodded secretly. Sure enough, Su Hong did not let him down. As the first place winner, Li Zongjiu only received this token as a reward. However, the significance of this token was completely different. What was given to Li Zongjiu was supreme authority. Just like when Li Zongjiu was in Luoxia City, Shang Quan of the Northern Medicine Alliance wanted to force him. If it happened again, he would have to kneel down when he saw this token from afar. Holding this token had a great significance. In the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion, its status was equivalent to that of an elder in the General Pavilion. If it was in the Imperial Palace, even some of the Imperial alchemists would not dare to be presumptuous in front of Li Zongjiu. Even Li Zongjiu could use the identity brought by this token to casually fabricate a gimmick to enter the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor and conduct an interview. His status was equivalent to that of a deputy dean. In addition, he had the halo of the Shengyan dynasty's imperial family. With this token, even the state prefecture's governor would have to treat him with respect. No one would dare to offend an alchemist with unlimited potential. Even more so, no one dared to offend an alchemist who had walked into the eyes of the Shengyan dynasty's imperial family. Of course, such an honor would also attract the dissatisfaction of others. If Li Zongjiu did not directly fail to accept any challenges in the future, he would be left as a topic of ridicule. People would think that he was not qualified to hold this token. As an alchemist bestowed by the imperial family, he had the obligation to accept these challenges. As for the final outcome, it would depend on Li Zongjiu or the luck of those challengers. Since the mentors of the 3 great elixir palaces are here, I will use the name of the Heavenly Elixir Pavilion to announce a piece of news. The Haiku dynasty and the Shengyan dynasty have established a friendly relationship. In order to celebrate and strengthen the communication and relations between the two dynasties, there will be a competition between alchemists in the spring of March next year. Those who are confident in winning glory for the dynasty, hurry up. Su Hong said in a clear voice. Competing with an alchemist from the Haiku dynasty? Just thinking about it made people excited. The Haiku dynasty and the Shengyan dynasty were only separated by a stretch of Blackwater forest. Since they were so close to each other, it was natural for them to establish a friendly relationship. Of course, if one of them became stronger one day, annexing the other party would not be a distant matter. Some of the systems of the Haiku dynasty and the Shengyan dynasty were different. The Shengyan dynasty was an imperial system. One emperor dominated the world and his aura shook the world. The Haiku dynasty, on the other hand, was governed by a religious system. A single church controlled the entire dynasty, and the emperor was merely a puppet. The true power was held by the church behind the scenes. However, these were all things for later. As for the specifics, the Haiku dynasty would also walk onto the stage of the Shengyan dynasty. Between the two dynasties, they had already begun to spit out their fangs to probe each other. However, for the ordinary people, these alchemists who had the talent for alchemy but were not very powerful, they were naturally incomparably excited. This was because this was a stage for them to shine. Participate in the competition, win the rewards, gain fame and fortune, and bring glory to their ancestors. Chapter 419. The Four Seas Medicine Manor was the first academy to know about this news, and the students were all extremely excited. However, Su Hong's gaze fell on Li Zongjiu. The purpose of this trip was to find a young expert who could be sent out to compete with the Haiku dynasty. This was a battle between dynasties and empires. Although both sides were currently in a friendly relationship, no one wished to be weaker than the other. They had to have the upper hand. Only then could they ensure their position. It was impossible to know just how deep the foundations of the two large empires were until the very end. However, it was extremely easy to tell from this fight on the surface. They could not be underestimated at any time. Since it was a competition between alchemists, it naturally fell on the Heavenly Pill Pavilion. Now, the three great medicine manors had chosen an incredible genius. With Li Zongjiu's strength, it would not be a problem to intimidate the Haiku dynasty. Now, Li Zongjiu would definitely be put in an important position by the Haiku dynasty. As for the 3,000 mu of land, Li Zongjiu also said that he could use this land within the boundaries of the Luoxia city as the foundation of the Li family. He did not even need to go back personally. Such news from the imperial court only needed a letter to let the Luoxia city lord know. At the same time, all kinds of news about Li Zongjiu would fly back to the Luoxia city as if they had grown wings. Even the city lord of the Sunset City had to address Li Zongjiu as lord, after seeing him. Because of Li Zongjiu's identity, the entire Li family's status also rose. After the competition ended, the trip to the Four Seas Medicine Manor did not end there. Instead, they used this opportunity to hold a banquet. As expected of someone who was born in the business world, he had put in a lot of effort just to organize the banquet tonight. Originally, Su Hong wanted to politely decline. As a member of the Heavenly Pill Pavilion, if you were to attend such a banquet, it would be hard to avoid gossip. However, when he heard that there was a 3,000-year-old wine provided by the four great families at the banquet, he immediately changed his mind. Su Hong could no longer walk. This wine banquet could be considered open. Only a small number of people were invited, including the teachers of the Four Seas Medicine Manor, the teachers and students of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, and the Purple Pill Academy. However, the people from the Purple Pill Institute had yet to arrive. Meng Yu and Nye Tianhong seemed to have been sent away to recuperate. However, no one knew what was going on behind the scenes. At the banquet, as the winners, Li Zongjiu and the others naturally received a warm reception. Many people came up to toast them, and some young and beautiful girls could even be seen throwing flirtatious glances at Li Zongjiu. Pay attention to the atmosphere. Yang Xuelin said indifferently. This made the drunk Lan Kuan a little excited. He even wanted to get drunk. Lan Kuan, who was lying among the flowers, immediately sat back down obediently. He sat in his original position and behaved himself. Hee, it's fine. It's fine. It's good for young people to be unbridled. Sun Yu waved his hand, indicating that it didn't matter. Young people naturally had desires. If they reached a state where they had no desires, wouldn't it be meaningless to live? Teacher Sun Yu, how can this be? As a disciple of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, we must be humble and low-key. We must not be arrogant when we win, and we must not be discouraged when we lose. Yang Xuelin was suddenly angry. Not only did he not dissuade Kuan Erasure, but he also indulged him. Wasn't he helping the tyrant and not respecting himself as an elder? Teacher Sun, if you have something to say, just say it. Can you not look at me like that? I feel a little desolate. Seeing that Sun Yu's gaze was so direct, Kuan Erasure also felt a little nervous. What exactly is this teacher trying to do? Could it be that he has taken a fancy to me and wants to do something improper? Kuan Erasure immediately put on a righteous expression. He was an upright person and was full of righteousness. He would never do such a thing and would never compromise. Teacher Sun is obsessed with studying ancient and modern medicine books. The book of all creation in your hand is what Teacher Sun longed for but was unable to obtain. Mu Qingyun said when he saw this. After all, Sun Yu was already so old and it was naturally inappropriate for him to speak. Thus, Mu Qingyun spoke on his behalf. This book is nothing. If teacher likes it, you can take it and read it for 2 days. It's only for 2 days. After Kuan Erasure heard this, he directly took out the book of all creation and handed it over to Sun Yu. Hey. This is my little darling. You must be careful. When he saw the book of all creation, Sun Yu immediately threw away the wine cup in his hand and hurriedly took the book of all creation. Good. Since you lent this book to me, this old man owes you a favor. In the future, you can stay by my side and be my apprentice. After Sun Yu took it, the expression on his face was completely different. The excitement on his face made it seem as though he was looking at a stunning beauty. Be an apprentice? Upon hearing Sun Yu's words, not to mention Kuan Erasure himself, even Yang Xuelin and the others were a little surprised. They were naturally surprised because they thought that teacher Sun Yu was looking down on Kuan Erasure. With Kuan Arashi's talent, it would not be a problem for him to become the deputy dean's disciple. In fact, it even depended on whether Kuan Erasure was willing or not. However, instructor Sun Yu had only accepted Lan Kuan as an apprentice. Didn't this mean that Lan Kuan's qualifications were insufficient? Furthermore, instructor Sun Yu's tone made it sound like Lan Kuan was the one who had profited more by letting him become an apprentice. However, no one dared to disrespect teacher Sun Yu. Only one person spoke very seriously, and that was Li Zongjiu. It's your honor that teacher Sun Yu is willing to impart his knowledge to you. You must learn well from him. Li Zongjiu said to Kuan Erasure. After hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Kuan Erasure realized that teacher Sun Yu must have some special abilities. Perhaps he was a hidden expert. Otherwise, Li Zongjiu would not have said that. Kuan Erasure had high expectations, but Li Zongjiu had even higher expectations. However, Kuan Arashi's intuition told him that Li Zongjiu's words could not be wrong. Sun Yu was already flipping through the book of all creation. He did not treat this place as a dining table at all. Instead, he treated it as his study table. Kuan Erasure and the others were sincerely impressed by Sun Yu's dedication to reading. Li Zongjiu had his own reasons for saying that. Teacher Sun Yu was not very famous now. However, in the future, teacher Sun Yu's name would be changed to Sun Yuzi. He had also made great contributions to the creation of new pill formulas. He had even entered the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor's Hall of Fame. The Heavenly Star Medicine Manor had specially set up a hall of fame. Only those who had made great contributions to the alchemy world were qualified to enter this hall of fame. Although Sun Yu's alchemy skills were ordinary, he had done a lot of research on the theory of alchemy. If he were to follow Sun Yu, with Kun Arashi's talent, it would be easy for him to achieve something as long as he practiced diligently. However, he was still a half-baked alchemist now. Many alchemists were full of explosive power in the early stage. Their cultivation level rose very quickly. However, due to their unstable foundation, it was like cultivating elemental energy. They would advance by leaps and bounds in the beginning. However, it was easy for them to get stuck later on. They were unable to make a breakthrough because their foundation was not well established. Currently, Kun Arashi's alchemy skills were a little weak compared to Meng Yu and Nye Tianhong. Mo Suli might even surpass Kun Arashir in the future. Therefore, it was necessary to send him to further his studies. While everyone in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor was eating and drinking, suddenly, a group of young people walked towards Li Zhongjiu's table. When Kun Arashir saw the group approaching, he immediately frowned and became alert. This was because the group was not just anyone. It was Zhao Jingxian and the others who lost the fight last night. Don't be nervous, don't be nervous. I'm here to apologize. Last night, I failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended all of you. I'm here to apologize. As he spoke, Zhao Jingxian downed the wine in his cup in one gulp. At least you have some eyesight. Kun Arashir said without any trace of politeness. Zhao Jingxian nodded. As the young master of the Zhao family, Zhao Jingxian was naturally a second generation. However, he was not the kind of person who only knew how to commit crimes. With his ability and resources, he naturally knew that Li Zhongjiu and the others were not to be trifled with. Although he was beaten up last night, in Zhao Jingshuan's opinion, with the power behind these people, it would be very easy for them to kill him. They were people that he could not afford to offend. Therefore, when he found the opportunity today, he quickly came to apologize. Oh right, these are the tickets for an auction that our Zhao family will be holding. VIP seats. Treat it as compensation for everyone. You must accept it. Then, Zhao Jingxian took out 7 tickets. Tickets for the auction. In the royal city, it was very normal to hold auctions frequently. However, one must know that ordinary auctions would not be able to attract the interest of these people. If Zhao Jingxian casually took out a few tickets and acted as if he was going to settle this matter, then he was too brainless. It seemed that he saw that there was not much interest on the faces of these people. Zhao Jingxian also smiled slightly. I will also reveal a little bit of information to you. In this auction, there will be an ancient tablet inscription. This tablet was obtained by a mysterious expert who visited Shuiyuan Mountain. Although it has not been translated, it has been confirmed that this tablet inscription is an item of the ancient elixir sect, Compassionate Travel Sect. Compassionate Travel Sect. Ancient tablet inscription. As soon as these words entered their ears, the few of them immediately became spirited. It was as if they had smoked marijuana. Compassionate Travel Sect was ranked as the #1 sect in the ancient times. According to legend, in the ancient times, the world had not been unified and the 3 great dynasties had not been born. After many accidents and changes, the 3 great dynasties were slowly born. Before the dynasties, there were countless powerful sects in the world. The elixirs of Compassionate Travel Sect were unparalleled in the world. Many of their elixir refining methods were obtained from the ancient tombs of some of the disciples of Compassionate Travel Sect. It could be seen that Compassionate Travel Sect was a great driving force for the current elixir refining world. Chapter 420. If he could get his hands on the Compassionate Travel Sect's ancient tablet inscription, he would have made a fortune if he could translate it into some kind of super alchemy mental cultivation method. Even if he couldn't own it because the competition was too strong and there was no way to buy it, being able to look at it from afar was already very good. As an alchemist, he naturally had no resistance in the face of these things. This is a good intention. We'll accept it first. Kuan Erasure waved his hand. Zhao Jingxian also cupped his hands and left, continuing to drink. Compassionate Travel Sect is the leader of alchemy among the ancient sections. It's naturally good for you to go and experience it. You can keep these tickets for yourselves. Yang Xuelin said. Even if they wanted to go, they had to buy the tickets personally. How could they accept these things? However, it was naturally a good thing to be able to resolve the grudges between Zhao Jingxian and the others. Otherwise, wouldn't it cause discord between the two great medicine manners? Then I'll help Kuan Erasure keep it first. The 2 extra tickets can be sold for a lot of money. Shueiyue snatched the tickets from Lan Kuan's hand. The ticket price for the VIP seats of an auction was naturally not cheap. However, it wasn't expensive for them either. How could Shueiyue not let go of such a small amount of money? How much can these tickets be sold for? Do you owe money to the bank? Kuan Erasure couldn't help but ask. Seeing Shueiyue's appearance, he was even more shocked. Could it be that he was being tricked? If he was tricked, then the amount of money he owed would be a lot. It's none of your business. The 2 extra tickets went to Shueiyue's pocket. Li Zongjiu didn't want to go at first. However, when he heard that it was an inscription from the Compassionate Travel Sect, he was also a little interested. It just so happened that he needed some herbs to refine a 6th grade pill. These herbs couldn't be found in ordinary places. He had to spend a lot of money to buy them. After the banquet ended, everyone from the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor prepared to leave. However, at this moment, a skinny young man walked towards Li Zongjiu. Upon seeing Li Zongjiu, he cupped his hands together and greeted him. I am Shi Shu. Greetings to young Master Li, Shi Shu said respectfully to Li Zongjiu. Shi Shu. Aren't you from the Purple Pill Academy? What? You want to take revenge for those 2 fellows? Shueiyue said when she saw Shi Shu. He still had an impression of Shi Shu. Although he was eliminated in the first round, he was facing the powerful Qi Yanran and Mo Suli. These 2 women with monstrous talents were naturally not easy to win. I wouldn't dare. I'm here because I have a favor to ask of you. Shi Shu looked at Li Zongjiu and said. You want me to save you? Li Zongjiu asked. His eyes seemed to be electrifying as they pierced through Shi Shu's mind. No matter the price, Shi Shu is willing to pay. Please save my life, young Master Li. Shi Shu said straightforwardly without the slightest hesitation. If he hesitated, he would lose his life. In order to survive, Shi Shu had exhausted all his strength. Such perseverance allowed him to live until now. However, as his strength increased, the symptoms in his body increased. Shi Shu was also gradually approaching despair because he did not have a better way to save himself. He only knew that if this continued, only death would await him. When he saw Li Zongjiu using his own body to withstand the pill lightning, and even in the fire Yuan mark array, he did not reveal his Yuan Li. From the beginning to the end, he relied on his own physical strength. Because of this, Shi Shu could see that Li Zongjiu had a huge potential. Just this physical strength alone was not something that could be cultivated by ordinary Yuan Qi. Although he did not have full confidence, Shi Shu would not let go of any chance as long as there was a glimmer of hope. Your dry pulse disease is not incurable. If you want me to treat you, the consultation fee is 10 billion purple yuan. You can go and prepare it yourself. Li Zongjiu said. The first half of his words caused Shi Shu's heart to surge with excitement. Yes, there was a way to cure it. This was the first time he heard that someone could cure the withered veins disease. Other than that, no one could cure it anywhere else. In fact, Shi Shu shook his head repeatedly when he heard the name. He even thought that there was no need for Shi Shu to waste his time. Since he had lived such an ignoble life, he might as well enjoy the remaining time. He had forced himself to live until now, but he had not enjoyed the joy of life. Living was also a pain. If there was no hope, life would be unbearably painful. However, 10 billion purple yuan. Was this really not a joke? It gave Shi Shu hope, but in the same way, it made Shi Shu lose his second-rate hope. 10 billion purple yuan. Even if he started robbing now, he might not be able to gather so much money. When Shueiyue heard Li Zongjiu's offer, she actually heaved a sigh of relief. It was really 10 billion purple yuan. As for the price given to him, it was indeed very cheap. 10 times the price, how much money was that? It was simply uncountable. Shi Shu's face turned slightly gloomy, but he quickly pulled himself together again. His gaze towards Li Zongjiu became even more resolute. I will definitely gather it. You only have 7 days. After 7 days, even I will not be able to reverse the situation. Li Zongjiu said. 7 days' time. When Shi Shu heard Li Zongjiu's words, he was reassured in his heart. Shi Shu knew that this was his limit. Given his current condition, he could last for 7 more days. After 7 days, the symptoms of the withered pulse disease would erupt on a large scale. In less than 3 months, Shi Shu would lose his life. When he heard that Li Zongjiu could accurately estimate the time, Shi Shu was even more certain that if Li Zongjiu was willing to help, he would definitely be able to cure his terminal illness. Goodbye. After Shi Shu finished speaking, he turned around and hurriedly left. Obviously, he was going to find a way to gather 10 billion purple yuan. Boss, if he really gathered 10 billion purple yuan, can you really cure the dry pulse disease? Kuan Erisher looked at Li Zongjiu in surprise. Could it be that Li Zongjiu had already predicted Shi Shu's death? The reason why he did this was to give Shi Shu hope so that he would not die so painfully. The dry pulse disease is nothing. After Li Zongjiu said this, he took the lead and walked forward. He still had things to do tonight. Kuan Erisher and the others could only look at each other with frightened eyes. Just after Li Zongjiu left, another white figure hurried over. It was Qi Yanran. As the genius girl of the Qi family, Qi Yanran had a halo around her since she was young. However, the poisonous blood bug had caused her a lot of confusion. Now, even her original spirit had been contaminated. Qi Yanran could only think of one person who could solve this problem, and that was Li Zongjiu. However, Qi Yanran had never asked a man for help in her life. In the end, after much internal conflict, he showed up at the banquet to look for Li Zongjiu. However, although Qi Yanran saw the people of Heavenly Star Medicine Mansion, she did not see Li Zongjiu. Excuse me, is Li Zongjiu here? Qi Yanran asked softly. To be able to let go of her previous hatred and come to find Li Zongjiu, it could be seen how determined Qi Yanran was. One must know that that night, Li Zongjiu had done many terrible things to her. How dare he treat her like that? However, her life was more important. At this time, there was no need to think too much. She could only wait until she became stronger in the future and get back at him. Kuan Erisher and Mu Qingyun both widened their eyes and looked at Qi Yanran, who was close to them. There was even a feeling of being unable to breathe. Looking at Qi Yanran at such a close distance, they could feel the indifferent and ethereal temperament exuding from Qi Yanran. It was as if she really came with the aura of an immortal. Her delicate face did not need the slightest makeup. It was exquisite and unparalleled. In an instant, the two of them were dumbfounded. The murderous intent in Mo Suli and Shui Yu's eyes fell directly on the two of them, as if they could not wait to peel off a layer of skin from their bodies. Seeing a woman, forgetting friendship. Yang Xuelin was also surprised. Qi Yanran's aloofness was not faked. That was within the Four Seas Medicine Mansion. It was said that Qi Yanran's whereabouts were extremely rare and she rarely showed herself. It was not easy to find her. Now that she had taken the initiative to come to Yang Xuelin's door, Yang Xuelin was a little stunned when she thought about what had happened between the two of them on the pill refining platform. That guy couldn't have done something terrible to the little girl, right? Li Zongjiu said that he had something to do, so he went back first. Do you have anything to say? I can help you pass on the message. Yang Xuelin said. Gone. Qi Yanran was stunned at first. She did not expect Li Zongjiu to leave first. She had finally made up her mind, but she missed it just like that. Although she was a little happy in her heart, she was more disappointed. After all, Li Zongjiu seemed to be very free and easy when he left, without the slightest reluctance. If there's nothing important, I'll take my leave first. After Qi Yanran finished speaking, she turned and left. Nothing important? How is it possible? There must be something between the two of them. Shueiyue said resolutely. Anyone could see that there was even a trace of resentment on Qi Yanran's body. Haven't you seen enough? Do you want to catch up with them? Mo Suli said indifferently. His words were also filled with a faint but tenacious murderous intent. Kuan Erisher was fine, but Mu Qingyun immediately felt a chill on his back, as if there was a knife on the back of his head. Cough cough, Mu Qingyun, how can you be like this? You're really shameless. As a gentleman, I despise your behavior. Lan Kuan immediately regained his senses and gave Mu Qingyun another stab. Chapter 421. On the ancient road in the middle of the night. A horse carriage was speeding on the official road. It left the sacred flame royal city and headed towards the east. Sitting in the horse carriage was Meng Yu, who had just walked out of the Four Seas Medicine Manor. Meng Yu's mental power had suffered a setback. Add to that the injuries he had sustained, and the humiliation he had suffered in the Four Seas Medicine Manor, it was a huge blow to Meng Yu. Thus, Meng Yu had returned this time. First, he was preparing to recuperate. Second, he was preparing to find an opportunity to kill Li Zongjiu. In the horse carriage, Meng Yu was hugging an enchanting woman in his arms as he was venting his anger. Li Zongjiu, fuck you. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. The angrier he was, the more powerful he became. The horse carriage was shaking even more violently. The old man driving the horse carriage was also an expert with a decent cultivation. Otherwise, he would not be able to control the horse carriage at such a high speed. Suddenly, the old man felt that the surrounding air had become somewhat cold. The old man had just raised his head and looked at the strange movement in the sky. Suddenly, he saw a giant wolf descend from the sky and bite the old man's neck. Even though the old man was a 6th-grade Yuan ancestor, he did not have any strength to resist. His neck was bitten and his body was thrown out. Boom! The Howling Moon Wolf King's body stepped on the horse carriage and instantly shattered the front beam of the horse carriage. The horse carriage fell to the ground and 2 figures flew out from the horse carriage. Meng Yu's body rolled out. The sudden overturn of the horse carriage did not give Meng Yu the time to wear his pants. However, he was able to react in time. After rolling a few times on the ground, he stood up and quickly wore his pants. Who? As for the naked woman who was flung away, she was directly pierced by the sharp branches and lost her life just like that. Meng Yu did not care about the woman's life. However, when he saw that there was no one around, the old man driving the horse carriage was dead and there was only a Yuan ancestor wolf in front of him, Meng Yu sneered. So it's just a beast. How dare you disturb my mood? A long sword suddenly appeared in Meng Yu's hand. Light swirled around the long sword. It was obvious that it was a powerful origin item sword. The Howling Moon Wolf King raised its paw and chewed on the head that it had just bitten off. After taking 2 bites, it seemed to find it too disgusting and spat it out with its saliva. Eyeballs, broken bones, tongues and the like all fell to the side of the grass. Seeing this scene, Meng Yu could not help but frown. At this moment, a figure descended from the sky and landed on the Howling Moon Wolf King's body. I told you, you can't escape. The person who arrived was none other than Li Zongjiu. when he saw Li Zongjiu appear in front of him. Even Meng Yu himself didn't expect this. I didn't expect you to take the initiative to seek death. I was still thinking about how to kill you. There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There's no door to hell, but you want to throw yourself into it. Meng Yu laughed heartily. He had wanted to kill Li Zongjiu for a long time, but he had no choice. There were many people in Royal City. If something happened, even Meng Yu would not be able to explain himself. After all, Li Zongjiu was a disciple of the Heavenly Dawn Medicine Manor. Even if he went back and used some methods, it would take a lot of effort. But now that Li Zongjiu had delivered himself to his doorstep, it would save Meng Yu a lot of trouble. This was the wilderness. If someone died, it would be very easy to cover it up. In this aspect, Qingyuan Manor had a lot of experience. Although Meng Yu's Yuan power cultivation was not very outstanding, and he was only a rank 5 origin ancestor, his strength was definitely considered to be outstanding among his peers. Most importantly, with Meng Yu's status, he had a big tree backing him. Naturally, he would have countless life-saving items in his hands. Thus, when facing Li Zongjiu, there was no need for him to hide anything. Not only you, but the beast you're sitting on will also die. Meng Yu's eyes were cold. At this moment, he did not speak anymore. When he chopped off Li Zongjiu's hands and feet, he would have the time and opportunity to humiliate him. Immediately, Meng Yu poured his Yuan power into the long sword in his hand. This sword, named Scarlet Ghost Flaming Tooth, immediately emitted an ominous light. At the same time, Meng Yu summoned his own Yuan spirit. Even when he was refining pills, he did not reveal it. When Meng Yu's Yuan spirit appeared, it was as if the gates of hell had opened. Then, a fierce aura was released from it, and a figure could be seen climbing out. 3 underworld ravens. With 3 heads, they bared their fangs, as if they were fighting for food. They were arguing with each other. The mouths of the 3 heads were spitting out flames. Dense underworld fire spread out from their bodies. It was as if they were showing off to Li Zongjiu. Standing on the Howling Moon Wolf King, these 3 underworld ravens had the blood of the underworld, just like the blood of the Azura. However, they were neither fish nor fowl, and no one knew what they were. The Howling Moon Wolf King blew out a breath from its nose, and the moon in the sky gradually became round. Although it was very round, it was still a full moon night. Scarlet Ghost Flaming Tooth Sword, Scarlet Ghost Flaming Wheel. Meng Yu shouted. Suddenly, the 3 underworld ravens behind him spat out flames, which landed on the sword. As Meng Yu swung the Scarlet Ghost Sword, a flame wheel could be seen unceasingly moving forward. Rumble. A flaming wheel bloomed, crushing toward Li Zongjiu. Wherever the flaming wheel passed, the ground would be scorched black. Within 100 years, the vitality would not be restored. When Li Zongjiu saw Meng Yu making a move, he did not panic. The Howling Moon Wolf King carried Li Zongjiu and jumped up. It seemed as if it wanted to jump over the flaming wheel and pounce toward Meng Yu. However, Meng Yu waved the sword in his hand and immediately pulled the flaming wheel back. The Howling Moon Wolf King could not dodge in time and was hit in the butt. Li Zongjiu took advantage of the momentum and jumped, landing on the ground. As the Howling Moon Wolf King's body rolled, it unleashed all of its Yuan power and easily extinguished the flames on its body. It continued to stare at Meng Yu with a ferocious expression. At this moment, it was truly enraged. How dare a puny human worm injure me? Is that all you've got? I, the evil lord, am magnanimous. I'll allow you to make another move. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. In a moment of carelessness, he even blurted out his catchphrase from back then. However, the feeling of being an evil lord and being in control of power was still very satisfying. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Meng Yu immediately sneered. What a joke. You actually gave yourself such a funny nickname. Evil lord? Ha! Are you trying to make me laugh to death and then inherit my Scarlet Ghost Sword? Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Meng Yu suddenly laughed towards the sky. As his laughter faded, the scarlet ghost sword was thrown out by Meng Yu. Evil spirit descends, underworld raven destroys the world. The two moves were executed at the same time. As the scarlet ghost sword flew, it immediately transformed into an evil spirit. Its body swayed and its powerful claws swung toward Li Zongjiu's body. If this move was successful, Li Zongjiu's soul would be scattered. After this evil spirit, the three underworld ravens also flew out. Their bodies were covered in three different colored flames that intertwined together, forming a light flow. It seemed to have transformed into a world-destroying fireball that smashed toward Li Zongjiu. Boom! The Howling Moon Wolf King could no longer hold back. Its body jumped out and directly held the world-destroying fireball in its mouth as it rolled away. When it rolled down a hill, it suddenly heard a loud sound. Boom! It was as if lightning had struck down, but it was the terrifying attack of the three underworld ravens. This directly made the Howling Moon Wolf King's mouth numb from the explosion. Facing the incoming evil spirit, Li Zongjiu merely stretched out his hand and grabbed the flying scarlet ghost sword. Suddenly, the evil spirit seemed to be choked by Li Zongjiu's hand. Its entire body knelt on the ground and gradually disappeared, finally returning to the scarlet ghost flaming tooth sword. A mere inferior sword spirit dares to play tricks in front of me? Li Zongjiu laughed disdainfully. With a force in his hand, the scarlet ghost flaming tooth sword broke into two halves with a bang. Li Zongjiu threw it to the side like trash. If a weapon had a spirit, its power would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Just like the scarlet ghost flaming tooth sword, to be able to refine such a sword spirit, in the eyes of others, the sword's power was already extremely fierce and domineering. However, in Li Zongjiu's eyes, it was still just a piece of trash. Such an inferior sword spirit had no way of hurting Li Zongjiu. What? Meng Yu was also shocked. Li Zongjiu actually caught his attack with one hand and even broke the scarlet ghost flaming tooth sword. Was that guy's hand made of iron? He easily dispelled his attack. Behind him, a fishy wind blew. Then, a figure jumped out. It was the Howling Moon Wolf King, who was in a sorry state from the explosion. Green smoke was coming out of the Howling Moon Wolf King's mouth, but under its claws, the three-headed underworld raven's head was firmly stepped on. My original spirit. Although the original spirit was controlled by Yuan Master, it was still an independent entity. It was just that it lived in the body, and at the same time, it could cultivate and become stronger. Seeing his original spirit being stepped on by a wolf, Meng Yu's heart was filled with pain. Not to mention how painful it was. Evil creature, you're courting death. Although the Howling Moon Wolf King did not understand Meng Yu's words, he knew that this guy was not praising him. Then, he used his claws and directly pulled off the three-headed underworld raven's head. Bang! Puff! Meng Yu immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. He pointed at the Howling Moon Wolf King, but at this moment, he was actually speechless. Chapter 422. I let you make one move, but you made two. Are you looking down on me? Li Zongjiu shook his head and slowly walked towards Meng Yu. What do you want to do? Li Zongjiu, don't be so arrogant. Do you dare to kill me? Do you know who I am? I am the nephew of the manor lord of Qingyuan Manor. King Qingyuan is my uncle. Meng Yu seemed to be afraid. As he spoke, he couldn't help but retreat. Looking at Li Zongjiu in front of him, he was really worried that the other party would stab him and kill him. Sure enough, Li Zongjiu suddenly stopped when he heard these words. Seeing that his words were effective, Meng Yu was sure that Li Zongjiu was afraid. Who wouldn't be afraid? That was the prince of the Shengyan dynasty. The younger brother of the Emperor Shengyan. Who would dare to act recklessly? Even if you were slightly suspicious, as long as you were suspected, you could be beheaded. If you wanted to complain, it would be useless no matter who you looked for. No one would help you. This was the power of King Qingyuan. Just his name alone was enough to scare away the experts of the world. At this moment, Meng Yu only regretted that he didn't bring the blood strike guard with him. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to capture Li Zongjiu. Although it was only a superficial relationship, it was enough to show his status. He was from King Qingyuan's maternal family. To be able to become King Qingyuan's maternal family, one could imagine that the strength of this maternal family was definitely not simple. Now you know how to be afraid. Just you wait. One day, I will take your head and step on it under my feet. Meng Yu sneered. So it's a superficial relationship. I thought you were the son of the manor lord of Qingyuan Manor. Li Zongjiu seemed a little disappointed when he heard this. His tone seemed to be somewhat dissatisfied. What did he mean by that? A superficial relationship? Could it be that he discriminated against superficial relationships? If it was King Qingyuan's son, would you still dare to act recklessly? How about this? You can go down first. Soon, I will send all of your family members and your uncle down to accompany you. Li Zongjiu looked at Meng Yu and said. Meng Yu didn't understand what he meant, he was still thinking about where this Li Zongjiu wanted him to go. However, when Meng Yu looked at Li Zongjiu, she suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. The flying knife that had flown into his body on the alchemy platform seemed to be slowly coming out of his body. Meng Yu could feel a surge of energy rushing out of his body from the inside out. Pooh! A flying dagger drilled out of his chest. Before that, Meng Yu's heart had already been crushed. But, before he died, he saw a flying dagger coming out of his body. He didn't even know when this flying dagger had entered his body. He didn't know that there was a flying dagger hidden in his body, and he didn't feel any discomfort. None of this was important. The important thing was that he finally knew where Li Zongjiu wanted him to go. Bang! Meng Yu's body fell to the ground. Lin Fan stepped forward and took Meng Yu's storage ring. Using his mental energy, he found that there were many treasures in the storage ring. On Meng Yu's neck, there was a protective talisman. Unfortunately, this protective talisman didn't have any effect, because the flying dagger had drilled out of Meng Yu's body. Although Meng Yu's strength was average, he couldn't pose any threat to Li Zongjiu. However, if he attacked directly, the protective talisman on Meng Yu's body would automatically activate. If Meng Yu's identity was really noble, then the elders in the family would be very careful about him. They would set up all kinds of arrays in the protective talisman. Some array formations could release Yuan King level energy waves in an instant, attacking indiscriminately and at a very fast speed. Although this method might kill their own people, it was believed that many people would do this in order to protect the core members of the group. After all, 100 guards were not worth as much as a master's life. Some of them even set up a portable teleportation array. The cost of such an array was extremely high. It could instantly teleport a person to a random corner thousands of miles away. It would be harder than ascending to the heavens to find him, unless Li Zongjiu's mental energy broke through to the emperor level. Then, he could easily use his mental energy to search for things within 1,000 miles. In order to ensure that nothing would go wrong, Li Zongjiu had buried this vast flying knife in Meng Yu's body when he was in the Four Seas Medicine Mansion. No one could discover it, not even Meng Yu himself. As long as it was within the range of Li Zongjiu's mental energy, he could activate this flying knife and take away Meng Yu's life at any time. It is indeed a teleportation talisman. If the attack triggered this talisman, I would have to search for you all over the world. Li Zongjiu had killed so many people over the years. Of course, he had a lot of experience. As long as Li Zongjiu wanted to kill someone, there was no one he couldn't kill. Leave a few claw marks, and I'll take it that you killed him. Li Zongjiu said to the Howling Moon Wolf King. As soon as he finished speaking, the Howling Moon Wolf King pounced forward and clawed Meng Yu's body into 2 halves. Fresh blood and internal organs splattered everywhere, and the scene was extremely bloody. Li Zongjiu and the Howling Moon Wolf King took advantage of the night to return to their own manor. Entering the city wasn't a problem for an expert like Li Zongjiu. However, when he was in a good mood, he would still walk through the main entrance. Now that Li Zongjiu had the identity token of an alchemist bestowed by the emperor, he would be able to go anywhere unimpeded. The dynasty might set up all sorts of special identities. Therefore, the soldiers in charge of guarding these passageways would only recognize the identity token. Other than that, they wouldn't recognize anything else. Back in the manor. The blood-maned horse was also grazing in the backyard. The Howling Moon Wolf King had transformed into a small wolf dog and was lying in the front yard. In his eyes, the blood-maned horse was just a pile of food. Most importantly, it was food that he couldn't eat. Therefore, he had lost interest in it. How could he let a beast king, who was comparable to a Yuan monarch elite, chat with a horse? Li Zongjiu had swallowed the 5 soul essence elixir and entered a state of cultivation. Daily cultivation was indispensable. Of course, during the cultivation process, he was also thinking about all sorts of things. First of all, there were less than 6 months until the beginning of spring next year. Since the Purple Mansion dynasty had given him the right to participate in such a huge competition, he had to participate in it. It didn't matter if he participated in it, but Li Zongjiu would never do things for free. He had to get some benefits back. However, it was still early. He had to break into the Genius Tower first and retrieve the Universe 9 Revolving Needle Manual first. Outside the city. The fluctuation of the Yuan spirit had also attracted the special envoys in the city. If it was just an ordinary fluctuation of the Yuan spirit, it would be fine. However, the intensity of the fluctuation had reached the Yuan ancestor realm. Any unpredictable factors that appeared had to be investigated. Royal City had to be absolutely safe. However, when the group of special envoys landed at the scene of the incident and saw the traces all over the ground, they immediately realized that something was wrong. The fierce traces left behind at the scene indicated that there had been a fierce battle here. What happened here? A gloomy voice sounded. The surrounding special envoys immediately retreated and greeted the person who had come forward. Greetings, Commander. A man wearing a vermilion feather helmet and light silkworm armor walked out. The special envoy department was also divided into ranks. It was divided into 3 ranks: permanent envoy, thorn envoy, and commander. Usually, the ones patrolling the streets were the permanent emissaries. Most of the cases were handled by them. The last time Dong Shuntian walked to Li Zongjiu's manor, his identity was thorn envoy. Therefore, his authority was relatively greater. To become a commander, not only must one have rich experience in solving cases, but one must also have a relatively strong background. The commander who walked out now had a strong background, which was why he was sitting in his current position. This person was the son-in-law of the Sima Manor, Han Wuxiu. His birth was nothing special, but he was lucky enough to climb up to the Sima family. When Han Wuxiu had just taken up the position, the people around him had some doubts about his strength. However, he was a graduate of the Imperial Martial Arts Pavilion. He was strong and ruthless. Under Han Wuxiu's ruthless methods, many cases were solved quickly. Therefore, no one in the Special Envoy Department dared to look down on Han Wuxiu. Commander, preliminary examination shows that the scene was done by a Yuan beast. As for what kind of Yuan beast it is currently being tested. A special envoy came forward to report. The area around the city gate was also under Han Wuxiu's jurisdiction. If anything were to happen, Han Wuxiu would be the one to take responsibility. Sir, this is bad. The person who went to identify the deceased suddenly came to Han Wuxiu in a panic. His face was filled with fear. How can you be so flustered? You are out to handle a case. Behave. Han Wuxiu asked in a deep voice. Yes, sir. Sir, after the examination, there are 3 people who died. One is Xiao Fang from the Red House in the city. The other person's head was smashed. We can't identify him, but from his appearance, he should be the coachman. The third person, when he mentioned the third person, the envoy calmed himself down a little. The third person is Meng Yu from the Qing Yuan Manor. He is also a student of the Purple Pill Academy. What? Even Han Wuxiu's face was filled with shock when he heard the name. He immediately went to investigate personally, and someone even gave the latter's identity token to Meng Yu. It is indeed Meng Yu from the Qing Yuan Manor. Han Wuxiu's eyes widened when he saw this. According to Meng Yu's identity, he could be considered as a member of the royal family. Although he only occupied a small part of the royal family, Meng Yu's identity was definitely not that simple. Even King Qing Yuan attached great importance to Meng Yu. Now, he was dead. He died outside the Sacred Flame Royal City. Chapter 423. Recently, a storm had been brewing in the city and disputes had appeared frequently. Some of the conflicts between the clans had also surfaced. However, Li Zongjiu, who was quietly cultivating in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, was also living a normal life. As long as Li Zongjiu did not cause trouble, there would be very few major incidents. The previous incident with Beiho Liang ended without any results. There were no clues and it was covered up by someone. Even the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor could not find out. Beiho Liang seemed to have disappeared into thin air. Although there were certain clues that pointed to the Yi clan, the three heirs of the Yi clan were already dead. Could it be that Yilantian was going to take responsibility for it? However, Yilantian did not give up on investigating the death of his 2 sons and 1 daughter. On this day, Yilantian had a meeting with the Deputy Minister of the Special Envoy Department, Su Yan. Su Yan could not refuse and in the end, he handed over a list of names. The list was sorted from the largest to the smallest. Anyone who had some possibility was included in the list. The people on the list have grudges with you in the past. There are also some top assassins. Based on some of the whereabouts of the Special Envoy Department, these people have been to Monarch City before. Therefore, they are also very suspicious. Yilantian looked at the list in his hand. The people on the list were all people that Yilantian was familiar with. Now that he saw them, he was not surprised. However, when he saw the last name, Yilantian raised his eyelids. After many days of operations and investigations, Yilantian looked much older. Li Zongjiu. Yilantian let out a cry of surprise. This name sounded a little familiar. This person is a student of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. At the beginning, we found out that during the recruitment examination of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor this year, third young master bet heavily on someone called Zhang Hexuan. However, in the end, Li Zongjiu stole the limelight. However, before the competition began, Zhang Hexuan committed suicide by jumping off a building and Li Zongjiu won first place. Third young master was angry at this person and sent people to assassinate Li Zongjiu in Lianbi. However, they failed and both of them were killed by Li Zongjiu. Su Yan recounted everything that had happened. Originally, in Su Yan's opinion, Li Zongjiu was basically not a threat, so much so that there was no need to include him in the list. However, Li Zongjiu's recent limelight had gradually emerged. Therefore, Su Yan thought about it again and again, and under the Sima family's suggestion, he also included Li Zongjiu's name. This isn't the first time I've heard this person's name. I want all the information on this person. Fu, you go. Yes, master. An old man behind him immediately replied and went to collect information on Li Zongjiu. Master, if there is nothing else, Su Yan will take his leave. Su Yan stood up and said. As the Deputy Minister of the Special Envoy Department, he naturally had to be in charge of all the cases in the city. He had no choice but to use this list of names. The Special Envoy Department did not have any evidence so they could not arrest anyone. However, Yilantian knew what to do when he handed the list over to him. Go back and tell your master that this matter will be over for the time being. Yilantian finally relented. If he acted recklessly, it would only make his enemies happy. Perhaps someone was trying to sow discord between them. Therefore, Yilantian decided not to touch the Sima family for the time being. He would deal with the people on the list first before doing anything else. Su Yan heaved a sigh of relief when he heard Yilantian's words. Master, you are wise. Then, he turned around and left the Yi residence. Although the Sima family and the Yi family had some competition and even some grudges, they were able to reach a consensus sometimes. There was nothing strange about this. No one wanted to shed all pretenses of cordiality in such a manner. Li Zongjiu, I want to see who exactly you are. After Yilantian saw Li Zongjiu's recent performance in Royal City, a sinister expression appeared on his face. This was because Li Zongjiu's performance had shown that he was extremely talented. Master, the Zhao family will be holding an auction in the Joyous Heavenly Pavilion tomorrow night. This time, Li Zongjiu will also be attending the auction. Do you want to make a move during the auction? Fu came to Yilantian's side and asked. Although the Yi family did not have many spies, they were rich. They had a lot of power. With just one order, countless people would come to investigate and report all kinds of information about Li Zongjiu, including the fact that Zhao Jingxian had invited Li Zongjiu and the others to attend the auction. Arrange for 10 Nightwalker assassins to kill them on the spot. Also, send someone to the Rain Pavilion and find a top assassin, just in case. Yilantian said. Yes, master. This old servant will do it right away. Wait a moment, get me a ticket too. I want to see these people die one by one in front of my eyes. If my son dies, they won't live either. Yilantian's eyes were filled with the light of revenge. The Joyous Heavenly Pavilion. As one of the more famous restaurants in the city, an auction venue was set up on the 3rd floor. It was specially used for auctions, and the Joyous Heavenly Pavilion was one of the properties of the Zhao family. Most of the time, the Joyous Heavenly Pavilion was rented out for external use. This time, the Zhao family was personally holding an auction in their own territory, so they had to be fully prepared. Check everything carefully. Don't let anything go wrong with the equipment. The people who are here this time are definitely not people you can afford to offend. If anything goes wrong, I'll have all of your heads removed. The supervisor at the scene was also instructing the crowd to set up the stage and set up the seats. The 1st floor was the main hall, and there was also a small attic. The attic was filled with display windows, and the material of the windows was a kind of transparent stone. One could look outside from the inside, but there was no way to look inside from the outside. Moreover, the stone was coated with a kind of paint that blocked yuan power and mental energy. It was almost impossible for outsiders to find out the identity of the person in this private room. This was the VIP area. Every VIP area had its own private passageway. It led directly to the underground tavern. 1 second ago, the two of them were fighting fiercely in different VIP seats, but the next second, when they appeared in the underground tavern, they were still chatting merrily with each other, drinking and chatting merrily with each other. The security measures at the scene had to be up to standard. This time, they had even invited Elder Zhao Quan from the Zhao family to oversee the event. This was to prevent any unexpected situations from happening. It could be said that everything was ready. If someone did not pay, they would definitely not be able to escape. Just as the supervisor was making preparations, Elder Zhao Quan came over with some young people from the Zhao family and arranged for them to do some things. Jingxian, you said earlier that the people from the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor are also coming? Zhao Quan asked. Although Zhao Quan was over 70 years old this year, he still looked very lively. As a Yuan King-level powerhouse of the Zhao family, Zhao Quan usually appeared in public and was relatively well known. Ordinary people would not mistake him for someone else. Furthermore, Zhao Quan seemed to be very approachable. Among the many Yuan King-level powerhouses, his connections were quite good. That's right. I made a few friends at the exchange competition between the three great academies a few days ago. Zhao Jingxian hurriedly stepped forward. Being able to follow Elder Zhao Quan and work for him meant that he had learned a lot, and the scenes he had seen were naturally different. Zhao Quan also liked Zhao Jingxian. After all, Zhao Jingxian was more tactful than the other disciples of the Zhao family. He had many tricks up his sleeves and was more flexible. Because of this, there were more variables. If he did not change, it would be very difficult for him to make a breakthrough. There were too many inflexible people in the Zhao family. Therefore, the Zhao family was still the same. If there were some slight changes, it would definitely become the leader of the four great families. Well done. Young people should not act like old people. How can those inflexible and inflexible thoughts lead the family to progress? People should be greedy. Only by being greedy and having desires can one improve. Yes, yes, yes. Elder is right, Zhao Jingxian said repeatedly. This elder was good at everything, but he was talkative. He could casually grab someone and talk for half a day. All right, the preparations are almost done. I will also go and rest. If there is nothing else, don't call me. Zhao Jingxian and the other disciples heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Elder Zhao Quan leave. When it was time to enter the venue, many people came with tickets. The seats were all marked. As a direct descendant of the Zhao family, Zhao Jingxian had to step forward to welcome any important guests to show his grandeur. Of course, it was important to take care of the invited friends. Zhao Jingxian, you are quite diligent. Jiang Bieyuan and a few friends came and greeted Zhao Jingxian when they saw him standing at the entrance. Why are you guys so late? Hurry up and go in. When it is over, I will bring you guys to wash your feet. Zhao Jingxian said. Then we will go in first. Wave after wave of people walked in. Just when Zhao Jingxian was getting anxious, Li Zongjiu and the rest were still not here. After all, they were disciples of the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. Moreover, Zhao Jingxian could see that Li Zongjiu was definitely not simple. Therefore, if he could befriend him, it would be a great advantage and benefit for Zhao Jingxian. They are here. Zhao Jingxian saw Li Zongjiu and the rest walking over from afar. At this moment, a palanquin landed at the entrance. The head of the Yi family has arrived. A messenger at the entrance shouted. Every important person would send such a message to show their respect. The head of the Yi family, Yi Lantian. Yi Lantian is here too. Oh my God. When Zhao Jingxian heard this, he was stunned. Chapter 424. Even the commoners who were passing by all knelt down to pay their respects. Yi Lantian was the head of the judicial division and a third-rank official in the imperial court. Other than a few honorable princes and marshals, he could cover the sky with one hand. Therefore, the commoners who passed by naturally had to kneel down to pay their respects. It's the head of the judicial division of the imperial court, Yi Lantian, a third-rank official. Mu Qingyun saw Yi Lantian's palanquin stop and was clearly a little surprised. Such a person actually came personally to participate in the auction. Although there were many good things in this auction. But to be able to attract such a person to come, it was really not easy. As expected of a third-rank official. His aura is indeed very strong. Mu Qingyun said in a deep voice. When Yi Lantian walked down from the palanquin, the surrounding people were obviously stunned by the latter's aura. Even Zhao Jingxian was a little stunned. After all, such a person was not so common. Where am I? Just as Zhao Jingxian regained his senses, he saw a figure blocking in front of Yi Lantian and walking straight towards Zhao Jingxian. Li Zongjiu. When Zhao Jingxian saw Li Zongjiu in front of him, he was instantly shocked when he came to his senses. Just now, he saw Li Zongjiu a little behind Yi Lantian. When he looked, Li Zongjio actually appeared in front of him. Didn't that mean that Li Zongjio actually walked in front of Yilantian just now? You actually, Xiao Jingxian stuttered and was speechless. In this world, there was actually someone who was so bold. Even Mu Qingyun, Kun Erisher, and the others who had just walked over were shocked. When they saw Yilantian coming down, they had already stopped in their tracks. It was only right to be courteous to the officials. There was even an order of seniority. Naturally, they could not be in front of Yilantian. However, there was only one person who did not stop in his tracks. He directly walked past Yilantian's palanquin, walked up the steps, and arrived in front of Xiao Jingxian. What's wrong? Did you see a ghost? Li Zongjio couldn't help but ask when he saw Xiao Jingshuan's expression. How dare you walk in front of Lord Yilantian? Do you want to die? Xiao Jingxian hurriedly reminded in a low voice. Yilantian had already landed on the ground. At this moment, he was staring at Li Zongjio with an extremely gloomy gaze. Yilantian? Who is it? As he spoke, Li Zongjio turned around to look at Yilantian. They were separated by a few steps, so Li Zongjio was also looking down at Yilantian. How dare you stand in front of an important official of the imperial court? Get out of my way. The old man beside Li Zongjio shouted angrily. He did not bring any guards with him. Otherwise, he would have taken Li Zongjio down immediately. My God, you old servant with a face full of wrinkles, who are you telling to get lost? Do you know who I am? You must be blind. Li Zongjio rebuked angrily, as if he was not afraid of anything. With his current status, he was naturally not someone that any old servant beside Yilantian could reprimand. Although other people might not dare to offend him because of Yilantian, and this old man was also a Yuan king elite, who was Li Zongjio. Why would he care about this? How dare you? I'll fucking let you go. Men, throw this old bastard out. Li Zongjio shouted directly. He, Fu, had worked by Yilantian's side for many years but had never met such an unruly and overbearing person. How dare he ask him to get lost? Did he not want to live anymore? Fu's face instantly turned ashen. Naturally, no one dared to throw the old man out. Although Li Zongjio could recruit private soldiers to accompany him, he had not started recruiting them yet. However, as an imperial alchemist, Li Zongjio had the right to reprimand an old servant. As long as Li Zongjio did not give Yilantian face, it would be fine. Xiao Jingxian saw that things were going to get worse. Li Zongjio had probably just been promoted and had obtained such a status. He did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. Moreover, he did not know Yilantian. If he knew Yilantian, no one would dare to be so arrogant. After all, Yilantian was in charge of the judicial division. If he was unhappy with someone, he could directly send 3 divisions and 13 guards to investigate the person thoroughly. Even if the person spat on the street, he would have a reason to arrest the person. After being caught, it would not be easy to get out again. It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Lord Yi, this is Lord Li Zongjio, who has just obtained the Imperial Alchemist qualification. Li Zongjio, this is the head of the judicial division, Lord Yilantian. His rank is 1 level higher than yours. Xiao Jingxian said to Li Zongjio. He even deliberately explained Yilantian's position. This was to tell Li Zongjio that this person in front of him could not be provoked. If he provoked him, the consequences would be very miserable. Yilantian. Yilantian. Li Zongjio was surprised. If he did not remember wrongly, in the information that Beiho Liang gave him, it was written that Yilantian was the patriarch of the Yi family. Yilantian also heard Xiao Jingxian call out Li Zongjio's name. He raised his head and looked at the arrogant and despotic young man in front of him. He was so arrogant when he was in power. In Monarch City, his arrogance would probably be suppressed in less than 2 days. Originally, he did not need to do anything. However, since Li Zongjiu was suspected, he had to send him away. Now, it seemed that Li Zongjiu did not have the ability to do so. However, he had offended Yilantian. In addition, he had not been cleared of suspicion previously. This made Yilantian snort coldly. So it's Alchemist Li, haha, Alchemist Li is young and promising. This old servant of mine did not have eyes and offended you. Can you give me, Yilantian, some face? This matter will end here, Yilantian said. Yilantian said. When he said this, even Zhao Jingxian was shocked. One had to know that this great god in front of him was a tyrant in Monarch City. He had given face to many people and yet now, he actually admitted defeat to Li Zongjiu. Although the dynasty valued alchemists, with Yilantian's status, there was no need for him to do so. Could it be that the successive deaths of his son and daughter had caused Yilantian to keep a low profile? As long as Yilantian did not pursue the matter, this matter could be resolved and passed peacefully. Today's auction could also be held as usual. It's fine to let bygones be bygones. I'm not an unruly and unkind person. As for the person who spoke rudely just now, slap him 3 times and this matter will be over. Li Zongjiu also wanted to let this matter go. However, after hearing Yilantian's name, he did not plan to let this matter go so easily. After all, since the Yi family dared to provoke him, they should be prepared to die. Yilantian had previously instructed Yilong Moon to silence Li Zongjiu. However, in Yilantian's eyes, this Li Zongjiu was just an ant by the roadside. After the incident, he would not even think of him. It was only now that he slowly remembered this Li Zongjiu. It turned out that he had already instructed him to do so. Let's not talk about Yilantian first. When Zhao Jingxian heard this, his face instantly turned pale. How could Li Zongjiu be so bold? This was the Yi family's patriarch, Yilantian, who had personally appeared here. It was not only Zhao Jingxian. When Kun Erisher, Mu Qingyun, and the others heard Li Zongjiu's request, all of them were so scared that they broke out in cold sweat. It was really too shocking. Where exactly did Li Zongjiu get the courage to say such a thing? Ah Fu, we heard what Alchemist Li said. Yilantian's expression did not show any joy or sorrow. He did not say anything else. As for the old servant, Ah Fu, he did not hesitate to slap his own face 3 times. Slap, slap, slap. This slap was too sudden. Zhao Jingxian also did not have time to stop it. Good, good, good. You, Yilantian, are considered a formidable person. This time, I'll let you go. Li Zongjiu laughed out loud and said, good, 3 times. They themselves were mortal enemies. When he saw Yilantian's gaze and the slap that was thrown out, Li Zongjiu also knew that Yilantian was going to make a move on him. Since neither of them was prepared to let the other go, so what if the other was arrogant? I'll go in first. Li Zongjiu patted Zhao Jingshuan's shoulder and turned to walk into the auction. At this moment, Zhao Jingshuan's intestines were green with regret. Why did he invite Li Zongjiu over? How could this Li Zongjiu be so bold? He directly shouted in front of Yilantian. Even the Sima family's patriarch would not be able to not give Yilantian face. Kun Erisher and the others were not as arrogant as Li Zongjiu. After Yilantian walked in, she followed them. Although Zhao Jingxian tried his best to apologize, Yilantian did not even look at Zhao Jingxian. It's over, it's over. Where did this Li Zongjiu come from? Zhao Jingxian said with a long face. In this way, it was not difficult to figure out. Zhao Jingxian dared to hit him in the 4 C's medicine manner back then. He did not even give Yilantian face, so beating him up was not a big deal at all. Don't be afraid, it's okay. Don't worry. Kun Erisher patted Zhao Jingxian and comforted him. Among these people, only Kun Erisher knew why Li Zongjiu was not afraid of Yilantian. Because both of Yilantian's sons were killed by Li Zongjiu. Even that night, Lone Moon had made a move in front of him. And that night, Yi Ruhan died directly. It was not hard to imagine that it was Li Zongjiu's doing. That's Li Zongjiu. He really doesn't want to come out. At the corner of the street, a palanquin was also stopped there. The place ahead was a place of trouble. If one rashly approached, it was inevitable that they would be implicated. And the person sitting in the palanquin. It was the young miss of the 7-star fire room, Song Jieyu. Obviously, Song Jieyu had also received an invitation to participate in this auction. As the young miss of the Song family, she was also in charge of the 7-star fire room. With the Zhao family's strength, she had to know what new things had appeared in the Zhao family. If there were good things, she had to buy them directly. She had to have a sharp business sense. However, before she entered, she saw Li Zongjiu angrily scolding the servant beside Yilantian. He even forced the servant to slap him on the street. If such a heroic deed were to spread, he would probably be admired by thousands of people. Chapter 425. Miss, Li Zongjiu is spoiled and domineering. It'll be difficult for him to achieve great things. Last time, you even gave him a set of expensive thunder sound short arrows. The servant beside Song Jieyu said. Looking at Li Zongjiu's current state, it would not be long before his name was removed from the city. Even if he did not directly kill Li Zongjiu. However, with just one sentence from Yilantian, Li Zongjiu would no longer have any resources in the city. No one would dare to invite Li Zongjiu to do anything, and no one would dare to support Li Zongjiu. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to going against Yilantian. In just a few days, the Yi family had already destroyed several forces. Even the Sima family was somewhat unable to withstand it. Therefore, one could see how powerful this Yilantian was. What a pity. Originally, I thought that he still had some courage. Now, this Li Zongjiu is done for. Let's go. Song Jieyu said indifferently. Inside the private room. The tickets that Li Zongjiu and the others received all belonged to the same private room. After entering, they were led by a person and walked through a special passage. During the process, they did not come into contact with anyone. This showed that the confidentiality was very high. Esteemed guests, the items obtained from the auction will be sent to the private rooms as soon as possible. After the auction is over, you can use this elevator to directly go to the underground wine pool. No one will know what you have auctioned. The confidentiality is extremely high. Esteemed guests, please feel free to auction your items. The attendant who led the way said. Understood. You may leave. Mu Qingyun rewarded the envoy with a purple yuan coin. The waiter walked away happily. After the attendant left, Mu Qingyun and Mo Su Li's expressions were extremely solemn. Li Zongjiu, you're in big trouble. Mu Qingyun's face was as ugly as it could get. Originally, Mo Su Li didn't care about these things. However, considering that Li Zongjiu had helped him before, he couldn't help but worry about Li Zongjiu. With her ability, if Li Zongjiu graduated from the Heavenly Star Medicine Mansion, it wouldn't be a big problem for her to arrange for him to do things in the Nantan region as long as Li Zongjiu was willing. After leaving the Sacred Flame Royal City, with her master's influence, the Yi clan would be relatively weaker. However, Li Zongjiu acted as if nothing had happened. He did not care about Yilantian at all. It's not a big deal. Don't worry, I know who Yilantian is. Li Zongjiu said. You know, yet you're still so unbridled. Although the identity of an imperial alchemist gives you the status of an official, it's just an empty position. It's obviously not a wise thing to go against a big shot like Yilantian. Mo Su Li couldn't help but say. Within the royal city, the area outside the inner imperial city was practically under Yilantian's control. It wasn't strange at all that he could control the clouds and rain with a flip of his hand. Don't worry, Yilantian won't live for long. I think he looks like a despicable person. Despicable people will naturally be punished by the heavens. Li Zongjio said indifferently. Seeing that Li Zongjio didn't take it to heart, Mu Qingyun and Mo Suli looked at each other as if they could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. Is this Yilantian really that powerful? On the other hand, Shueiyue frowned as if she didn't dare to believe it. Shueiyue had heard a lot about the reputation of the Yi clan head. However, she had never seen him before. Now that she heard that Yilantian was actually able to cover the sky with a single hand outside of the inner imperial city, she was shocked. He's more than just powerful. Then, Mu Qingyun casually counted some of the officials in the imperial court. They were all imprisoned and some of the officials even wanted to join forces to impeach Yilantian. However, before the impeachment report could be sent to Emperor Xingyan, it was directly blocked. The families of the latter were also executed. There were all kinds of reasons. Some were corrupt, some were colluding with rebels and causing chaos in the imperial court. Moreover, they were all backed by solid evidence. No one would dare to believe such a thing even if it was told. However, it did happen, and it happened right under the nose of the emperor. Although there was no real evidence for these actions, Mu Qingyun, as a member of the Mu clan, had to grasp the wind direction of the imperial court. Naturally, he had some understanding of these matters. Moreover, the real situation was far crueler than what he could imagine. Is he really that arrogant? Shueiyue was dumbfounded when she heard it. This old man is really powerful. I heard that a few days ago, he seemed to have directly dealt with a few officials in the prefecture. These people were all disciples of the Sima clan. Kuan Erisher held a fruit in his hand and said as he ate. I see. Shueiyue's eyes widened, as if she was holding a small notebook in her heart to record this matter. However, things have already turned out this way. Don't worry. As long as we stay in the medicine manor, he can't do anything. Our heavenly star medicine manor is still very powerful. Mu Qingyun said. Since things have already turned out this way, this is the only way. I need to pee, I need to relieve myself. Li Zongjio said as he stood up. The auction had not started yet and everyone had not arrived. At the entrance, a middle-aged man in a black robe raised his head and looked around. After confirming the location, he stretched out his hand and handed over a ticket to the ticket checker at the entrance. The ticket checker saw a burn scar on the back of the man's hand the moment he stretched out his hand. The scar seemed to be extremely serious. Therefore, the man's entire body was shrouded in a black robe and gave off a gloomy and cold feeling. Go in. Your seat is an ordinary seat. The man did not take the ticket and his body brushed past the ticket checker, as if he had floated in. Hey, your ticket, the ticket checker could not help but shout. However, when he saw the man's strange behavior, he could not help but give up. Standing beside that man, he had a bad feeling and felt that his body was incomparably cold. What a strange man. The ticket checker could not help but mutter in his heart. However, when he looked at the ticket in his hand, it turned into a blank piece of paper. What? How can this be? Where's the ticket? When the ticket checker saw that the ticket in his hand had turned into a blank piece of paper, his eyes immediately widened. However, at this moment, he did not dare to make a sound. If someone knew that he had let someone without a ticket in, he would definitely be punished. Since he had already entered, so be it. If that guy caused trouble inside, naturally, someone would take care of him. Yilantian's private room. Has the manpower been arranged? Everything has been arranged, master, Fu said respectfully. Fu said respectfully. The arrangement he was talking about was naturally the matter of the assassins. He directly selected 10 experienced and powerful assassins. They were extremely good at disguising and assassinating. From this moment on, they were already carrying out the mission. Just as Li Zongjio walked towards the toilet, he happened to see a person walking out of the toilet. He, little brother, I just finished. The smell is a little strong. The person who walked out was a man dressed in ordinary businessman's clothes. When he saw Li Zongjio, he naturally revealed a cunning and kind smile. Excuse me. I'm going to wash my hands. As the man spoke, he was about to move closer to Li Zongjio. However, Li Zongjio sneered. An iron hammer appeared in his hand. Thunder profound hammer. The man also seemed to sense that Li Zongjio seemed to be about to make a move. A sharp knife was hidden in his sleeve. With a trace of extremely obscure yuan energy fluctuation, it slashed towards Li Zongjio's neck. However, Li Zongjio was faster. He directly hit the man's arm with the hammer. Crack! Like smashing an egg, the bones in the man's arm were directly smashed into pieces. Ah! The excruciating pain immediately caused the latter to scream. Li Zongjio smashed the iron hammer again. This time, it directly smashed the other party's teeth, and all the teeth were swallowed into the other party's stomach. You want to assassinate me with this little ability? The two of you inside, get the hell out. As soon as he finished speaking, two figures suddenly rushed out of the other two latrines with tightly shut doors. Kill! Without saying anything, they directly stabbed towards Li Zongjio's vital points. Li Zongjio also snorted coldly. He pushed the middle-aged businessman in front of him, causing him to crash into one of the men. The other man took the lead to approach Li Zongjio. When the man's dagger stabbed towards him, Li Zongjio did not dodge. Ding! The dagger stabbed into Li Zongjio's chest. However, it was like stabbing into a steel plate. It only pierced through the clothes on his body. The skin under the clothes did not receive the slightest bit of damage. How is this possible? The man who attacked was also taken aback. However, at this moment, Li Zongjio's hammer greeted him. Bang! There was no time to dodge. It was directly smashed into half of the man's head. Blood splattered everywhere. His body suddenly fell to the side, and blood flowed all over the ground. The third man pushed the man in front of him away. He originally wanted to continue attacking Li Zongjio. However, when he saw the fate of his companion, he immediately chose to give up and fled towards the direction of the window. Li Zongjio did not show any mercy. He directly knocked the man down with a hammer. The hammer hit the back of the man's head. His face fell directly into the latrine pit. Even if he did not die, he would have been suffocated to death. What a bummer. Li Zongjio wiped the blood stains on the hammer. Then, he directly stepped on the man's body to relieve himself. The first man also swallowed the teeth, causing his internal organs to be directly penetrated. He died from the pain. After relieving himself, Li Zongjio also washed his hands and walked out as if nothing had happened. Chapter 426. When Li Zongjio left the latrine, 4 figures quickly walked in and cleaned up the 3 corpses. The bloodstains at the scene were also cleaned up in a timely manner. This is troublesome. I'm afraid that this brat's strength is not that simple. The 3 of them quickly cleaned up the latrine. Are you all done? Retreat quickly. Yi Lantian must have sent you guys. It seems like that brat is prepared to make his move today. Li Zongjio's departing figure actually turned back once again, blocking the entrance. Li Zongjio's sudden appearance also caused the 4 of them to stop what they were doing. One by one, they took out their own daggers. Although the few of them were only at the peak of the Yuan general level, they had once killed a Sky Origin Ancestor level powerhouse. Even a Sky Origin Ancestor would not be able to escape from their hands. When they saw that Li Zongjio had actually turned back, the 4 of them arranged themselves in a formation. When they saw Li Zongjio in front of them, their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Don't waste time. Come at me together. Li Zongjio said indifferently. Li Zongjiu did not know how many people Yilantian had arranged in the auction venue. However, Li Zongjiu knew that Yilantian seemed to have underestimated him. These people were not even enough to fill the gaps between Li Zongjiu's teeth. After 3 breaths, 4 corpses lay on the ground. The last person still had a breath left in him. Li Zongjiu immediately removed the dagger in his hand and cut off his thumb. After wrapping the thumb with a piece of cloth, Li Zongjiu walked out and found a waiter in charge of the auction. This waiter was in charge of serving tea. Send this item to Yilantian's private room. This is a very important item, Li Zongjiu said. When the attendant heard that it belonged to Lord Yilantian, he did not dare to neglect it. He hurriedly placed the item on the tray and delivered it to Yilantian. Back in the private room. Are you all right? Kuan Erisher asked. If they met Yilantian again, the situation would probably get out of control. Moreover, Li Zongjiu had been gone for a long time. Could it be that there was something wrong? It's fine. Has the auction started? Li Zongjiu asked. Soon. Everyone rested on the sofa in the private room. At the same time, there was a list of the items that would be auctioned today on the table. Before the auction began, the auction house would only announce some important treasures. Some of the items were even leaked out in this way. Because only then would there be enough mystery. The list also contained the items that would be auctioned this time. The 7 Stars Fire Room actually provided a newly developed Yuan artifact. What's it called? Raging Dragon Slaying Flames? That's a little fierce. Where is it? Let me see. The boys were naturally very interested in such weapons, especially when they heard the extremely cool names. They were even more excited. Dragon Slaying Fury. This thing has already been created? Li Zongjiu was stunned when he heard the name. Li Zongjiu had used this item before in his previous life. Moreover, when he was escaping for his life, he used this item to kill a strong enemy and help Li Zongjiu escape. There were many times when Li Zongjiu was able to survive because of this Yuan artifact called Raging Dragon Slaying Flames. However, when Li Zongjiu saw the picture of the Raging Dragon Slaying Flames, he immediately understood. So it's only a first-generation design. Li Zongjiu said. Boss, you seem to have a lot of knowledge about Yuan artifacts. Kuan Erisher looked at Li Zongjiu. Li Zongjiu was already extremely talented in both battle and alchemy. If he could be said to have a lot of knowledge about Yuan artifacts, then wouldn't Li Zongjiu be omnipotent? I know a little. Li Zongjiu said. Although it was only a first-generation design, its power was still very great. Back then, Li Zongjiu had the Raging Dragon Slaying Flames several decades later. Furthermore, it was already the 10th generation design. To be able to design such a powerful Yuan artifact, the person in the 7-star flame room had to be a genius in weaponry. Otherwise, how could he have designed such a fierce Yuan artifact? On the surface, Raging Flames Capture Dragon looked like a long, thick tube. However, there was a pitch-black fire outlet within the long tube. In addition, there was also a recess around the tube. This recess was used to imitate the Yuan crystal and provide energy. The starting price is actually 4 million purple yuan. This is a little high. If it's put up for auction, then it's definitely not the best craftsmanship of the 7-star flame room. Even if it's bought, it will only be a pile of obsolete goods. However, to be able to seriously injure a grade 1 Yuan monarch powerhouse within 100 feet, this kind of power is enough to save one's life at a critical moment. Kuan Erisher and Mu Qingyun were also discussing. At this auction, they could come into contact with some of the more advanced items. Huh? Why is the Sky Fragrance Drunken Moon Pearl here? When Mu Qingyun saw one of the items, she was shocked. The Sky Fragrance Drunken Moon Pearl. What's this? Kuan Erisher asked curiously. After looking at the introduction, it wasn't anything special. It was just a pearl that could emit a fragrance all year round. It was suitable for girls to wear. The sky fragrance Drunken Moon Pearl would emit a fragrance according to the pulsation of the user's pulse. This fragrance was also helpful for cultivation, refreshing the mind, and improving one's eyesight. Oh. What's this? Is it very powerful? Let me take a look. Shueiyue also came over and snatched the catalog. It's nothing special, but it's an item of the royal family. Why would an item of the royal family be put up for auction? Are they tired of living? Kuan Erasure said in shock. If this item was stolen and the auction house dared to put it up for auction, it would be the same crime as theft. It should be that the royal family is short of money. The market value of this item is at most 500,000 purple yuan, but the starting price is already 1 million purple yuan. I guess it's going to be a no bid. Mu Qingyun said. What? A no bid? What do you mean by a no bid? Can't the items in the auction be sold? Shueiyue immediately said in shock. As far as she knew, any ordinary item that was put up for auction would definitely be sold off. How could there be a no bid? Who said so? If the price of this item is too high, or if no one wants to buy it, then no one will bid for it. It will be placed in the next auction, or it will be withdrawn from this auction. Don't tell me that you don't even know this. Mu Qingyun looked at Shueiyue curiously. Speaking of Shueiyue, Mu Qingyun really had to ask this fellow properly. Even Mu Qingyun didn't know where Shueiyue came from. She only said that she came from a small family from Jiangbei. After all, they were classmates, so she didn't ask too much. But now, it seemed that there were still many strange things about this Miss Shueiyue. What I mean is, how can such a good item be a no bid? There must be a lot of people fighting to buy it. Shueiyue suddenly had an idea and said. So that's what she meant. The items on the stage were also removed. Then, an old man in a long robe came up and knocked a small hammer on the table. The hammer fell on an iron plate and made a tinkling sound. This was called a final hammer strike. Once the hammer fell 3 times in a row, the item was considered a deal. Everyone, I've made you wait for a long time. This auction is held by the Zhao family. First, this old man here represents the Zhao family to welcome everyone, the old man from the Zhao family said with a smile. Then, he said a lot before pushing the first item up for auction. Li Zongjiu did not care about other things. He was only interested in the stone tablet that was excavated from the Compassionate Travel sect. Li Zongjiu could not remember this thing clearly, but he vaguely felt that this thing seemed to be quite important. In the private room where Yilantian was, a waiter knocked on the door. Ah Fu opened the door and immediately saw a waiter dragging a plate. On the plate was something wrapped in a cloth. Sir, this is what a young master said to give to Sir Yi. The waiter handed the cloth bag to Ah Fu. Elder Fu tipped the waiter with a purple yuan coin and let him leave. What is it? Yilantian looked over. However, when old Fu opened the cloth bag in his hand, there was a thumb inside. There was an iron ring on the thumb. The inner wall of the iron ring was engraved with some information. It was also a sign of mutual authentication. When they saw this finger, the two of them did not panic at all. Yilantian seemed to have guessed it long ago. Based on what I saw today, it's still a little difficult for these assassins to kill him. Yilantian analyzed. I deserve to die. Elder Fu hurriedly said, it has nothing to do with you. Who is the person that the Rain Pavilion invited? It's Shadow Fox. With Shadow Fox's cultivation base, it won't be a problem for him to kill this person. Yilantian said in a serious tone. When he looked at Li Zongjiu, he felt that something was wrong. Some young people, even those with power and influence in the city, were careful and trembling when they saw Yilantian. However, when Li Zongjiu saw him, he did not look scared at all. Instead, he looked at him with disdain from the bottom of his heart. He was not afraid of His Majesty at all. This made Yilantian feel a little incredulous. Looking at Li Zongjiu's appearance, he was not pretending. If even Shadow Fox can't deal with this person, then we have to be careful. Yilantian seemed to be a little worried. Elder Fu glanced at Yilantian. In his heart, he wanted to get rid of Li Zongjiu. It had been a long time since he saw such an expression on Yilantian's face. Old master, don't worry. Li Zongjiu will definitely die. Chapter 427. Most of the items being auctioned were tools and elixirs. Even precious items such as elemental arts had yet to appear. Of course, if elemental arts or elemental skills were auctioned off, the scale of the auction wouldn't be limited to this. So far, more than 10 items had been sold. Only a few items had failed to be auctioned off. Next, this item is rather special. Bring it up. As the old man from the Zhao family spoke, someone brought the item up. This is a heavenly fragrance drunken moon stone. According to the appraisal, this heavenly fragrance drunken moon stone is over 100 years old. It is worthy of being called the Stone King. Wearing it can nourish one's body and prolong one's life. There are many effects that can't be listed here. In short, this old man dares to guarantee that if you buy this item, you will definitely not suffer a loss. The starting price is 1 million purple yuan. Each increment is 100,000 purple yuan. After the old man from the Zhao family finished speaking, he slammed the hammer in his hand. A crisp sound rang out. Firstly, it was to remind everyone that they could start bidding. Secondly, it was to wake up those who were dozing off. However, after the hammer slammed down, the entire place was silent. Not a single person raised their placard to bid. To some experts who cultivated elemental power, this item was actually useless. However, most importantly, those who knew the ropes naturally knew that this item belonged to the imperial family. If it fell into the hands of others, it would definitely bring about a certain amount of trouble. Although it could be said that even if they bought this item and sold it, it would still be very easy to give it away as a favor. However, there was no need to go through so much trouble. Young miss, this seems to be Princess Jing'an's. Song Jieyu raised her hand to signal the servant beside her to stop talking. She blinked her eyes and looked around. Song Jieyu herself had nothing to hide, so she directly sat in the main hall. However, in this main hall, she was also near the front. Some people recognized Song Jieyu, while others didn't. However, when a beauty sat beside them, they would more or less take a few glances. Song Jieyu naturally also saw that this item wasn't simple. Therefore, he told the maidservant to shut her mouth and stop talking. So it's a Stone King. 1 million purple yuan is indeed a bit low. If someone dares to bid, it should be at least 3 million. Mu Qingyun said. Even from such a distance, she could still feel the gentle aura from the heaven fragrance drunken moonstone. To many girls, the effects of the heaven fragrance drunken moonstone were extremely good. After all, many girls' bodies lean towards the yin side. What? It can be sold for 3 million. Shui Yu jumped up in shock again. Yeah, if it's the Stone King, then its value would be at least 5 or 6 times higher. No matter how bad the item is, as long as it reaches the peak of its quality, then it will have a qualitative change. Yi Shiwen said with a smile. Mu Qingyun said. He didn't really care about Shueiyue's reaction. After all, Shueiyue didn't seem to have enough brains at times. 2 million. Kuan Erisher suddenly shouted from the box. As he shouted at the person on the stage, the people in the box couldn't help but look at Kuan Erisher. Li Zongjiu's eyes were full of disdain for Kuan Arashi's behavior. Are you retarded? Did you hear someone shouting to increase the price in the VIP box? Li Zongjiu said bluntly. After Kuan Erisher shouted, he seemed to find that there was no effect. Hey, why can't he hear it? If you want to increase the price, just pull this lever. It will be 100,000, 500,000, 1 million. This one is 10 million. Don't pull it down casually. There was a lever on the table, which corresponded to 5 gears. So that's how it is. If you didn't say it, I wouldn't have known. Kuan Erishur said and laughed. Mu Qingyun and Mo Suli rolled their eyes at Kuan Erishur. There were all kinds of top-quality goods. If he hadn't been here before, then so be it. He even pretended to be very familiar with it. Then Kuan Erishur also increased the price by 1 million purple yuan. The VIP box is increasing the price by 1 million purple yuan. Is there anyone who wants to increase the price? The originally awkward situation was finally salvaged by this sudden increase in the price. His mood immediately improved. There was finally someone who had made a bid. What are you going to do with this thing? Li Zongjiu asked Kuan Erishur. Obviously, Kuan Erishur was a man. If he wore this thing, wouldn't he be a big sissy? I'm just buying it to study it. Lan Kuan thought that there shouldn't be anyone who would raise the price. Just as he was about to sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, someone in the hall suddenly raised his hand and directly increased the price by 500,000 purple yuan. Now, it's 2,500,000 purple yuan. Is there anyone else who wants to make a bid? This sky fragrance drunken moonstone is rare in this world. It's the best of the best. The craftsmanship of this stone is definitely 1 in a million. It can be used for at least 1,000 years. Every year, you only need to spend less than 10,000 purple yuan to enjoy such a precious stone. How luxurious! When someone increased the price, the auctioneer naturally became excited. If the price was raised and exceeded the estimated price of these items, then he would definitely be able to earn a sizable commission. This commission was precisely what he was aiming for. Milord, the person who increased the bid was Shadow Fox. The private room that started the bidding was the private room where Li Zongjiu's friend was. Elder Fu immediately stepped forward and said. Although some of the information in the Joyous Heavenly Pavilion's auction was kept confidential, there were no secrets in front of Yilantian. If you wanted to know something, then you had to tell him everything. Yinghu's way of doing things is full of tricks. Let's also light a fire. I'd like to see what this Li Zongjiu is capable of. After saying that, Yilantian directly increased the price by 1 million purple yuan. The VIP box has bid 3 million purple yuan. Is there anyone who wants to make a higher bid? If you're quick, you'll get it. If you're slow, you won't get it. Elder Zhao immediately became excited. 3 million, it's already 3 million. If there's a little more, then I'll be able to earn a sizable commission. Who wouldn't be happy? He had to increase the price. Kuan Erishur originally thought that no one would compete with him. However, now that the price had been raised to 3 million, it would be a little excessive if the price continued to increase. It would not be worth it if he bought it. How dare someone try to snatch the item that my brother wants? Li Zongjiu's face was instantly filled with anger. In any case, Kuan Erishur was his underling. If his underling were to lose face outside, then as the boss, he would lose face too. He immediately pulled the control lever to the bottom. No! When Mu Qingyun saw Li Zongjiu pull the lever to the bottom, he almost had a heart attack. This was too frightening. That was the price of 100 million purple yuan. Ding! However, it was too late. The old man immediately slammed the hammer on the table. A distinguished guest bid 100 million purple yuan. 100 million purple yuan. Oh my God, this distinguished guest has a good eye and courage. If he had not seen such a big scene and if he had not reacted quickly, then the hammer would not have fallen so quickly. When the hammer comes down, the old man could clearly feel his heart beating faster. In the hall area, there was an obvious commotion. It was not because 100 million purple yuan was a lot. Although it was a large number, it was not enough to cause an uproar. The main reason was that the value was not equal. The Sky Fragrance Moonstone was worth 3 million purple yuan at most. Now, it had been raised to 100 million purple yuan. How could anyone accept this? It was like spending 100 million purple yuan to buy a stone on the roadside. Moreover, the seller had clearly told you that it was a stone. Could it be that someone is here to launder money? Maybe. This thing is actually priced at 100 million purple yuan. Is there a mistake? Could it be that two big shots are going crazy for love? Various voices began to murmur. There were many guesses between each other regarding the appearance of such a situation. However, in the past, there were often situations where two big shots would throw money at each other. If they didn't like each other, they would throw money at each other. In the end, both sides would suffer losses. Although some people gained fame, in the end, the value of the things they earned was still remarkable. Inghu sat in the corner and raised his head slightly to look at the private room above him. Initially, he only wanted to tease them. However, he did not expect this to happen. Inghu could not continue to raise the price. He immediately crossed his arms in front of his chest and sensed the VIP seats above him. Above him was the VIP seats where Li Zongjiu and the others were seated. Yi Lantian originally wanted to tease these young people. He wanted to show them what it meant to have a strong foundation and what it meant to be invincible. However, Yi Lantian was caught off guard by the situation before him. Ah Fu, could it be that young people nowadays are so hot-tempered? Yi Lantian said in a low voice. Even Elder Fu's face showed a trace of embarrassment. If Yi Lantian continued to raise the price, it did not mean that he could not take out 100 million purple yuan. However, as an official of the imperial court, if he insisted on it, he would probably be in trouble very soon. The reason why Yi Lantian was able to investigate everything was because he did not have many weaknesses that could be used against him. There were no flaws that could be exposed to others. Naturally, there was no problem. In the end, the old man hammered the hammer 3 times. It was a deal. This is really spending 100 million purple yuan. Mu Qingyun could not help but be shocked by Li Zongjiu's generosity. Boss, don't tell me you know that you're dying, so you want to spend all this money? Kuan Erisher also looked at Li Zongjiu with a touched expression. However, the happiest person was Shueiyue. She directly slapped Li Zongjiu's shoulder. Good job, you're straightforward. I admire people like you. Li Zongjiu looked at Kuan Erisher with an innocent expression. No, I'm just bidding for you. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to do it. Get ready to pay. Before he could finish his sentence, there was a knock on the door. Chapter 428. It's delivered so quickly. Kuan Erisher wasn't even ready yet. Most importantly, he couldn't take out 100 million purple yuan at all. The auction house would definitely require you to pay in cash. 2 women walked in with light steps. When they walked in and saw that there were so many people in the room, one of them obviously had a look in her eyes. Seeing this, Li Zongjiu couldn't help but sneer. May I ask who bought the heavenly fragrance drunken moonstone? The final transaction price was 100 million purple yuan. Thank you for your patronage. The person walking behind him lowered his head and presented the tray in his hand. After removing the red cloth on top, a pure white jade stone was revealed in front of everyone. It was the heavenly fragrance drunken moonstone from the auction house. However, when everyone saw the heavenly fragrance drunken moonstone, they immediately felt a splitting headache. Not good. Mo Suli's eyes shone brightly. A protective jade on his chest lit up, preventing him from being bewitched by the heavenly fragrance drunken moonstone. Just as Mo Suli woke up, he saw the 2 women's figures turn into afterimages. Boom! The afterimages rumbled and stabbed straight at Li Zongjiu. Be careful. Mo Suli cried out in alarm. However, Li Zongjiu sat still on the spot. After all, there were so many people around. If he directly smashed them with a hammer, it would be too bloody and would damage his image. It was better to wait for them to come closer and then break their necks. In Li Zongjiu's opinion, this was already an extremely benevolent method. However, before the two women's attacks reached Li Zongjiu, a long spear stretched out. Boom! On the long spear, a vast fluctuation of yuan power spread out. It directly blocked the two women. The Kuan wing spear bloomed with light, like two blades, and directly broke the daggers in the hands of the two women. What? The two women were extremely shocked. They didn't expect Kuan Erasure to wake up so quickly. Immediately, one of them pounced at Kuan Erasure, wanting to use her body to block Kuan Erasure. The other person continued to attack Li Zongjiu. Die! The person who approached didn't give up and stabbed the dagger in her hand. However, it was easily caught by Li Zongjiu's two fingers. With a flick of his finger, yuan power suddenly left his hand and penetrated the woman's shoulder. Boom! The female assassin's figure flew out and fell to the ground. Boom! The moment he landed, he saw the female assassin throw an iron ball in her hand. The iron ball instantly exploded, producing countless smoke. In the face of this smoke, even his mental strength was temporarily affected. Want to run? Li Zongjiu's figure disappeared in an instant. How could a mere camouflage escape Li Zongjiu's eyes? This little trick was possible in front of some rookies, but it was absolutely impossible in front of Li Zongjiu. His figure flashed out. He caught up with the woman in an instant. The woman, who was covering her injured shoulder, was shocked when she saw Li Zongjiu appear. She didn't expect Li Zongjiu to catch up with her so quickly. At this time, she was at her wit's end. In front of Li Zongjiu, she didn't need to waste her strength at all. She was only in the realm of great swordsmen, so she was naturally at Li Zongjiu's mercy. With a slap, the woman was sent flying back to the private room she had been in earlier. At this time, there was already a corpse lying on the ground. Kuan Erasure only managed to control the other party, but he didn't have time to prevent the latter from taking poison and committing suicide. When Kuan Erasure shook the person away, he saw the latter fall to the ground. She was the one who rushed out to sacrifice herself. Now that she had completed her mission, there were so many people in the room. Even if she wanted to escape, she didn't have a chance because the powder of rosemary that was added to the counterfeit would evaporate quickly. Mo Suli and the others didn't expect these people to act so quickly. Who sent the killers that suddenly appeared? If Kuan Erasure didn't react in time and stop these people, there might have been a few more murders. Dead. Kuan Erasure checked the corpse on the ground. Everyone also gathered, looking at the woman who was beaten back by Li Zongjiu and was still breathing. We will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, for the country and for the people. As her voice fell, everyone knew that this woman was preparing to take poison and commit suicide. However, Li Zongjiu directly kicked out. The woman directly fainted from the kick. This kick really didn't have the slightest bit of mercy. In fact, Li Zongjiu had already held back. Otherwise, this kick could directly kick a person's head and make it explode without a problem. They've all been brainwashed, these pitiful people. Li Zongjiu shook his head. With this bit of strength, they still wanted to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens, for the country and for the people. They were simply retarded. Including the 7 that were taken care of in the toilet, there were a total of 9 assassins who came to take Li Zongjiu's life. How's Shueiyue? Mu Qingyun also woke up, but Shueiyue was still unconscious. Because at the very beginning, these people were the closest to Shueiyue and inhaled most of the fragrance of the rosemary. However, the rosemary didn't cause much harm to them and only caused them to fall into a deep sleep. Looking at Shueiyue lying on the bench, it was easy to tell. She's fine, she's just asleep. After Mo Suli checked for a while, he took out a coat and covered Shueiyue. This was not only to prevent her from catching a cold, but also to prevent her from doing anything strange while sleeping in front of that man. This. You. What's going on? Zhao Jingxian personally brought the sky fragrance drunken moonstone. No matter how much trouble Li Zongjiu brought to him, as long as he could bring money, then he was a good friend of the Zhao family. Therefore, Li Zongjiu and the others were generous and directly used 100 million purple yuan to auction this thing that was only worth 3 million purple yuan. Their Zhao family directly made a lot of money just by taking the handling fee. But when Zhao Jingxian walked in, he saw a dead person on the ground, and another was kicked to the side. His face was swollen, and from the looks of it, he was probably half dead. Although in this kind of situation, there were often rich disciples who would play some tricks, and sometimes things would happen, it was obviously not the case in this private room. Zhao Jingxian, if you don't want to sell this thing, you don't have to find an assassin. Get ready to kill all of us. Kuan Erisher suddenly snorted and said. They came because they were invited by Zhao Jingxian, but now that they met an assassin at this banquet, Zhao Jingxian naturally couldn't absolve himself from the blame. Everyone, don't worry. I, Zhao Jingxian, guarantee that this matter absolutely has nothing to do with our Zhao family. However, our Zhao family will definitely give you an explanation. Zhao Jingshuan's reaction was also very fast. Combining the previous situation with the news that Zhao Jingxian had already received, there were 4 corpses in the direction of the outhouse, and the scene had obviously been cleaned up. There might be more than 4 corpses. However, no one knew the identity of these people. With such great magical powers, there must be someone behind this. Now that they encountered a situation like today, Zhao Jingxian had to put the pieces together. Someone actually dared to sabotage them secretly. If the person in the outhouse was also Li Zongjiu, it meant that someone was targeting Li Zongjiu and the others. If not, it must be a random massacre, and it wasn't good news for the Zhao family. Looking at the expressions of the people in the room, they still hadn't changed. In the end, Zhao Jingxian gritted his teeth. Since this thing is what you like, I will make the decision to give it to you as a small compensation. As for this matter, Zhao Jingxian will definitely clarify it for you. Hearing this, the expressions of the few people relaxed a little. In particular, Kuan Erisher was already laughing in his heart. However, on the surface, he looked as if he was a magnanimous person. Alright, you have to investigate this matter properly. If it weren't for our skills today, I reckon that we would have gone down long ago. This thing is at most a stopper. Kuan Erisher took the item without any hesitation and kept the sky fragrance moonstone. Zhao Jingxian naturally didn't have to be polite. He didn't expect that he didn't even have to pay a single cent in the end. If that was the case, he should be thanking these assassins. He needed a few more of such assassins. Men, take these 2 assassins away. Zhao Jingxian saw that the mood of the few people had calmed down and was about to get to work. Although the Zhao family was a business family, how could they not have some background if they were able to survive in the Holy Flame Royal City? If they were really here to cause trouble, they would be sent back in a matter of minutes. Furthermore, because of these 2 assassins, the Zhao family had directly lost 100 million yuan today. Since the sky fragrance drunken moonstone had already been auctioned for a price, other than the buyer, the seller also had to give an explanation. All of this had to be notarized. Even Zhao Jingxian couldn't change the price at will. Therefore, Zhao Jingxian had to fork out 100 million yuan himself. However, in order to reduce the impact of this matter, he had to compensate. Otherwise, if something like this happened, it would be a huge blow to the Zhao family. Li Zongjiu didn't say anything. Even if he took them away, he might not be able to get much out of them. Even if he did, there was nothing he could do. If you were to ask Yilantian's men, these people would probably panic even more. However, this matter had nothing to do with Li Zongjiu. Chapter 429. Elder Fu returned to Yilantian's side. He was not in a good mood. They failed too, right? Yilantian said calmly. Such a situation was expected. If Li Zongjiu could be dealt with so easily, it would be impossible for him to survive until now. He must have his own ability to survive until now. Don't worry, master. Elder Fu could only use this sentence to comfort her. As for other guarantees, they had no effect at all. Li Zongjiu. Yilantian could not help but say. Yilantian could not help but say. Naturally, he was not worried that there was no way to deal with Li Zongjiu. No matter what, only death awaited Li Zongjiu. Now, Yilantian was only playing a game. Based on the current situation, Li Zongjiu was just a game. Yilantian wanted to see how far Li Zongjiu could go. Even if Shadow Fox failed, there would still be other people who would appear. A series of fatal pursuits would definitely be able to eliminate Li Zongjiu. Let's continue watching the auction. It seems to be quite interesting. The corners of Yilantian's mouth curled up into a smile. They were just some hopping grasshoppers. They were not a threat. Twig. The door of Yilantian's room was pushed open. Then, a figure walked in. When they saw the person, Yilantian and Elder Fu were both shocked. Who allowed you to come in? Are you courting death? Elder Fu said in a deep voice. A young man stood at the door. The young man hung a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door and then closed the door. Then, he looked at the person in front of him. You've visited me so many times. As a courtesy, of course, I'll pay you a visit. Li Zongjiu said with a smile. Then, she looked around as if nothing had happened. She found a seat and sat down right across from Yilantian. Li Zongjiu actually dared to walk into his territory alone. From the looks of it, it seemed like he was here to intimidate him. At this moment, Yilantian was shocked. He sized up the young man in front of him with interest. The more he looked at him, the more he found him interesting. It was rare to see such a bold young man these days. You are very courageous. Such an outstanding young man is very rare. Yilantian said with admiration. You too. In this day and age, there aren't many people like you who aren't afraid of death. But your family with the surname Yi is basically one more fearless than the other. Don't you think it's interesting? Li Zongjiu said. He poured himself a cup of tea and drank it. Hearing Li Zongjiu's words, Yilantian's eyes suddenly darkened. He could hear the hidden meaning in Li Zongjiu's words. What did he mean by one more fearless than the other? Could it be that this Li Zongjiu knew something? There's no need to guess. I killed your 2 sons and your daughter. I killed them all. Yilantian was shocked and even a little stunned. When he saw Li Zongjiu's half-smile and even a mocking smile, his heart was even more shocked. The deaths of Yi Guxing and the others were actually related to Li Zongjiu. According to Li Zongjiu's words, he killed both of them. Not only that, he also killed Yi Ruhan. How is this possible? After Yi Guxing got into trouble, he sent He Tu to protect Yi Guiyue. It was impossible for Li Zongjiu to do it alone. He Tu was a genuine Yuan monarch elite. How could he be killed so easily? Did Li Zongjiu really think that Yuan monarchs were pushovers? Elder Fu had already stood up and a sharp murderous intent locked onto Li Zongjiu. Even if this person wasn't killed by Li Zongjiu, he should still be beheaded by He Shou for bringing up this matter to ridicule him. Punishment was not something that could be made as a joke. You killed them. Ha, then I've really found the right person. Tell me, who ordered you? Who's behind you? Tell me and I'll spare your life. Yilantian sneered as he looked at Li Zongjiu. Old master, there's no need to go through so much trouble. Let me capture this person and peel off a layer of his skin before interrogating him properly. At that time, he'll confess everything. Elder Fu said coldly. He was already prepared, but the old master had not given the order yet, so he had to bide his time for the time being. The old master had not given the order yet, so if he acted rashly, he would not be giving the old master any face. You, kill him now and pledge your loyalty to me. Then, I can spare your life. I can spare your life, Li Zongjiu said indifferently as he looked at Elder Fu. This is your last chance. Li Zongjiu's gaze was extremely serious. He did not look like he was joking at all. Yi Lantian and Elder Fu exchanged glances. If they did not know that Li Zongjiu was somewhat capable, they would even think that Li Zongjiu was crazy. Shameless boasting. At this point, there was no need to wait any longer. In that case, there was no need to wait any longer. Old Fu immediately let out a low roar, and there seemed to be an extremely powerful yuan power fluctuation between his palms. The yuan power in his palms directly turned into an ice blade. The moment the frost blade appeared, he saw a ray of light appear behind him. However, this power had been hidden very well. However, a fishtail suddenly appeared behind Old Fu. You're at the Yuan King realm, yet you're not even proficient in hiding your spirit. I'm afraid that your cultivation has been wasted on a dog. Li Zongjiu immediately sneered. The thunder profound hammer appeared in his hand and suddenly smashed towards Elder Fu. Boom! A terrifying power spread out, but Elder Fu did not panic. A mere move was nothing to him. It's enough to kill you. Boom! Cold ice chi blades swept out and chopped at the thunder profound hammer. The thunder profound hammer was shaken and sent flying. Just after this move, the flying knife was seen shuttling back and forth. Previously, the flying knife was also hidden under the mysterious lightning hammer. Although the mysterious lightning hammer was blown away, the flying knife successfully rushed out. Whoosh! Not good. Elder Fu immediately discovered this flying knife, and the target of this flying knife was actually Yi Lantian, who was sitting behind him. Yi Lantian immediately sat behind him, indifferent to the battle in front of him. He was also confident in Ah Fu's strength. After many years of understanding, if even Ah Fu could not deal with him, then there was really no need to escape. Elder Fu's figure moved and blocked in front of Yi Lantian. The origin spirit power around his body condensed. Immediately, it protected Yi Lantian and himself. A mermaid's figure appeared behind Old Fu. This thing was also the origin spirit power of Elder Fu. Extremely cold mermaid. You're really empty-handed. You actually refined such a trash origin spirit. Li Zongjiu immediately said disdainfully. Facing the vast flying knife that was blocked, he directly stretched out his hand and pushed. Terrifying mental strength immediately supported the flying knife and it rushed forward. The mermaid behind the old man also seemed to be suffering, and at this moment, she also roared in a low voice. Fortunately, the isolation of the VIP seats was done well. Otherwise, it would have attracted the guards of the auction. Of course, the reason why it was able to do so was because Li Zongjiu had set up an isolation talisman at the door. With this talisman, even if an incomparably intense battle broke out in the private room, it would not be discovered by the outside world. What cultivation level does this brat have? Even with the power of a Yuan monarch, it's difficult to resist him. Attack! Elder Fu's heart was shaken because he had no way of blocking this move in front of him. He could only watch helplessly as the power kept piercing his body. Finally, he watched helplessly as the vast flying knife broke through his origin energy defense and was about to pierce into his body. Finally, Elder Fu roared angrily. Like a fish-piercing soul. The power of the origin spirit immediately wrapped around Yi Lantian. Master, run! Yi Lantian also realized that things were not good. He did not expect that even Elder Fu could not deal with the person in front of him and seemed to be greatly affected. The power of the origin spirit wrapped around Yi Lantian and prepared to take him away. Li Zongjiu also stretched out his hand and waved. Immediately, the space in the VIP seats disappeared, and what appeared was a world filled with blood. Blood Soul Realm. Li Zongjiu summoned the Blood Soul Realm and wrapped the two of them inside. What? A trace of fear immediately appeared in Elder Fu's eyes. In the next second, he raised his head and saw a blood dragon descending from the sky. With a claw, it directly chopped off Elder Fu's head. Boom! A head rolled to the ground. Yilantian was shocked when he saw this. Chapter 430. The strange thing was that Yilantian had forgotten that this world was ultimately ruled by Yuan Force experts. He was too arrogant and unlucky. He had to offend Li Zongjiu. If it was someone else, they would not have ended up like this. Li Zongjiu's dagger easily cut off Yilantian's head. The storage ring was taken away. When the door was closed again, no one knew that the important person in the room, the head of the Yi family, Yilantian, the head of the Shengyan dynasty's judicial division, had died here. No one dared to believe it. If this news were to spread, it would definitely be an earth-shattering event. Li Zongjiu. In the corridor, a figure stared at Li Zongjiu from a short distance away. This person was shrouded in a black robe from head to toe. An icy aura was emitted from his body, causing people to shiver in fear. Although there was light in the corridor, all the light around him seemed to have been devoured. His entire person was immersed in darkness. Li Zongjiu saw the other party. He originally wanted to attack and take down the person in front of him. However, he realized something and retracted his killing intent. After knocking on the door, he retreated and disappeared. Trying to run. The corners of Yinghu's mouth curled into a cold smile. In front of the shadow fox, no prey had ever been able to escape. Boom! Just as Yinghu passed by Yilantian's door, a violent explosion suddenly rang out. Even Yinghu was affected by the shockwave. His body suddenly retreated and landed to the side. Who is it? There were guards from the Zhao family patrolling this area. Damn it, I've been tricked. Yinghu immediately dashed into the distance. Where do you think you're going? Zhao Quan shouted angrily. With the terrifying strength of a Yuan king, he charged towards Yinghu. In the end, Yinghu had no choice but to rush into Yilantian's private room. When he saw the head that was placed on the table, Shadow Fox's expression changed drastically. Zhao Quan's aura surged, and nothing in the room could hide from him. At the same time, Zhao Quan also saw the bloody head on the table. This, insolent thief, hand over your life. Naturally, Yinghu would not allow himself to be captured without putting up a fight. He broke through the roof and fled out of the joyous heavenly restaurant. Just as Zhao Quan was about to give chase, a terrifying mental power descended from the sky and turned into a huge palm, crushing towards him. Left with no choice, he retreated with a loud bang. Elemental energy enveloped his body. However, the mental strength that suddenly appeared was too tyrannical. It directly pressed Zhao Quan onto the floor. With a loud bang, the floor beneath him collapsed. The people who were in the middle of the auction also heard the loud noise. In the hall below the VIP seats, when they saw the ceiling suddenly collapse, it caused a lot of commotion. Elder Zhao Quan flipped his body and stood up. Ignoring the chaos in the surroundings, he immediately roared in the direction of the fleeing shadow fox. Chase after him. Don't let him escape. Zhao Quan angrily reprimanded. Due to the sudden appearance of the mental strength obstruction, Zhao Quan felt threatened. Now that he had broken free from the mental strength obstruction, the first thing he had to do was to find the person who used the mental strength. Looking at the people around him, Zhao Quan did not notice anything strange. However, there were so many people present and they were all looking at Zhao Quan with a shocked expression. They were all fine and dandy when Zhao Quan suddenly descended from the sky and gave them a fright. If it were not for the fact that some of them reacted quickly, they would have been crushed under him. Seeing this, the Zhao family's guards quickly rushed over and quickly took control of the situation. Everyone, this auction will end early. The auction will be closed and everyone will only be allowed to leave after their identities are verified. Zhao Quan said in a deep voice. The elder on the stage also realized the seriousness of this matter. After a series of confirmations, the Zhao family began to operate. The only person who did not speak was Zhao Quan. The seriousness of this matter had already exceeded his imagination. Elder? This. Zhao Jingxian came in front of Zhao Quan. The change in the situation was somewhat unexpected. How could something like this happen in such a short time? From the looks of it, Elder Zhao Quan seemed to have suffered a lot just now. You, quickly go and ask the family head to come here. Also, report to the Special Envoy Department that a major murder has occurred here. For a moment, Zhao Quan did not know how to describe the current situation. He could only try to stabilize the situation first. A murder has occurred. The matter of the two assassins from before had yet to reach Zhao Quan. Could it be that this elder already knew about it? But if it was just two assassins, then it wouldn't be a big problem. Zhao Jingxian had already suppressed this matter for the time being. Now that Zhao Quan's face was so serious, it was obvious that something more serious had happened. That was why he was so flustered. Zhao Jingxian immediately turned around and prepared to leave, but Zhao Quan stopped him once again. Take my token and go quickly. Zhao Quan directly threw the elder's token to Zhao Jingxian. Now, Zhao Jingxian knew what was going on. This was definitely a matter of life and death. Immediately, Zhao Jingxian broke into a run. In the private room, Li Zongjiu had just returned not long ago, and such a situation had already happened outside. The few of them were also at a loss as to what was going on. Li Zongjiu took less than 5 minutes to kill Yilantian. It was very difficult to arouse suspicion. What's going on outside? Kuan Erisher and the others looked down. It seemed to have caused quite a commotion. Someone died. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. These people wanted to fight with Li Zongjiu. Obviously, they were too inexperienced. What assassins? What judges? In Li Zongjiu's eyes, they were just stumbling blocks. How could they affect Li Zongjiu? Therefore, when he attacked, he did not hold back at all. When he was free, he would make a trip to the Yi family. Although Yilantian was dead. Among those who remained, there was no lack of people who could hold power. Since Li Zongjiu had already decided to destroy the Yi family, he would definitely not let the Yi family have any signs of prosperity. When cutting weeds, he had to dig up the roots. Someone died. Who died? Shueyue, who woke up from her daze, also blinked her eyes and looked at the situation around her in a daze. What's going on? Why am I here? Obviously, the scene of Shueyue fainting from the poison earlier was also a matter of time for her to recover. It's probably some kind of revenge. Someone actually chose to make a move at this auction. That's interesting. Mu Qingyun said. Then, she glanced at Li Zongjiu. Although the time when Li Zongjiu walked out was calm, Mu Qingyun could also see that when Li Zongjiu walked out, there was an additional murderous aura on his body. There was a slight change in the aura on his body. This matter was definitely related to Li Zongjiu. Very soon, a large number of people from the Special Envoy Department came. After Zhao Quan went forward and handed over the information, the people from the Special Envoy Department were all shocked. Seal off the joyous heavenly restaurant. No one is allowed to enter or leave. In addition, the entire city is to hunt down one person. The special envoy who came to receive the information immediately gave the order to seal off the joyous heavenly restaurant. No one was allowed to enter or leave. At the same time, this matter was reported. Chapter 431. Seeing that a large number of special envoys had arrived at the scene to take over, many people who were complaining also calmed down at this moment. Originally, if it was only the Zhao clan who took action, they would definitely be properly taught a lesson. Just based on the Zhao clan alone, it was impossible for them to restrict their actions. Therefore, they were all extremely arrogant. However, now that the envoys had accepted the case, the situation had changed. Even if they had some ability, they would not dare to be arrogant now. They could only sit obediently in their seats. "Miss, the situation seems to be quite serious." Song Jieyu frowned. What was the Zhao family up to? However, seeing that the envoys had arrived, and there were even many other envoys who were quickly arriving, the situation seemed to be very serious. "Miss, isn't that Commander Han Wuxiu?" Han Wuxiu. He had interacted with Song Jieyu before. After all, they were both at the same age and at the same level. Therefore, it was normal for them to have heard of each other. Previously, they had asked Commander Han Wuxiu to handle some matters in the 7-star fire room. Now that Han Wuxiu had appeared, they understood the seriousness of the matter. However, at least everyone knew each other, and they would not deliberately make things difficult for you. Otherwise, the situation would be similar to this. They did not even know what had happened. If the situation was very serious, even if Song Jieyu was here, it was inevitable that they would treat her with some extreme treatment. They would not be polite to her. Since there were people who knew each other, it would be easier to handle. However, even Han Wuxiu had personally come, it seemed to be far from enough. Soon, they saw another person standing at the side, waiting for someone to come. This time, it was someone who came. It was Su Yan, the Deputy Minister of the Special Envoy Department, Su Yan. Similarly, Su Yan's face was also solemn. However, in comparison, Su Yan's solemn expression seemed to be directed at this matter, and there wasn't much panic on his face. His expression seemed to be different from the rest of the envoys. Seeing this scene, Song Jieyu tapped her fingers and glanced at the location of the private room upstairs. If it was just an ordinary murder case, Su Yan would not have personally come. However, even Su Yan had come, and it seemed that this matter was not over yet. Not long after, another figure arrived in a hurry. The people who came this time were even more shocking. At the same time, they realized that something extraordinary had happened in the Zhao family's joyous heavenly restaurant. Since it happened now, it was too terrifying. What? Isn't that? Oh my God, even Sima, even the head of the Special Envoy Department is here. Oh my God. Could it be that the head of the Zhao clan died here? Even if the entire Zhao family is dead, it's impossible for the head of the Special Envoy Department to come personally. It must be someone even more important. When Song Jieyu saw Sima Xingyan walk in, she confirmed her guess. How is this possible? This kind of thing, how could it happen again? This is impossible. The maidservant beside her could not help but be a little surprised when she saw her miss in such a flustered state. When had she ever seen her miss in such a state? She was so distracted and seemed to be in disbelief about what was happening in front of her. "Miss, what happened? This is the first time I've seen you like this, don't talk anymore. Just wait patiently." Song Jieyu instantly regained her senses. At this moment, the identity of the deceased was gradually revealed. As long as one was not too blind, one could basically guess who it was that dared to be so bold and even succeeded. In the private room. When Mu Qingyun saw Sima Xingyan appear in the joyous heavenly restaurant, her heart thumped. Then, she looked at Li Zongjiu. "Li Zongjiu, you said that someone died. Who is it?" Mu Qingyun asked in a deep voice. At the same time, her gaze was fixed on Li Zongjiu. She wanted to see something from Li Zongjiu's eyes. However, it was an extremely difficult thing to do. Even Mo Suli looked at Li Zongjiu. He also looked at Mu Qingyun. At this moment, Mu Qingyun seemed to have discovered something. That was why she was questioning Li Zongjiu. The one who died is Yilantian. Yilantian. At first, this name sounded a little artistic. However, when they realized what this name represented, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Kuan Erisher stood up from his seat. What? Yilantian is dead. Fuck, this is karma. At first glance, I knew that guy was a short-lived ghost. However, I didn't expect him to die so quickly. It's really fucking timely. Kuan Erisher suddenly said. He knew about the conflict between Li Zongjiu and the Yi family. However, at this moment, Kuan Erisher did not think too much about it. In fact, he did not even dare to think about it. He never thought that the person who killed Yilantian was Li Zongjiu. After all, Li Zongjiu had an alibi. At that time, Li Zongjiu had already returned. When he left, it had only been 5 or 6 minutes. How could it be possible to kill Yilantian in such a short time? One had to know that Yilantian had a Yuan King level powerhouse by his side. Did he think that Yuan King level powerhouses were made of paper? This was why Kuan Erisher was so excited when he concluded that it had nothing to do with Li Zongjiu. Kuan Erisher, you can't say this carelessly. Li Zongjiu, how did you know that the one who died was Yilantian? Mu Qingyun said. I just happened to see it when I went to the outhouse. Li Zongjiu said. Although the dignified evil lord was not afraid of trouble, it was better to have less trouble. Li Zongjiu also used his brain to roam the underworld. He was not a fool who had a one-track mind. It was as if he was invincible after becoming strong and could go anywhere. In reality, that was not the case. Li Zongjiu had lived for 3,000 years in his previous life. In the first 2,500 years of being at the pinnacle, he was also threatened with his life. There were many who were stronger than Li Zongjiu. It was normal for them not to want to let you live an easy life. Such things would never be too little. Getting rid of a person with potential might be directly getting rid of a strong enemy in the future. Therefore, there were many geniuses and very few people who were successful. The fact that Li Zongjiu could survive under the influence of the long river of history was not simple in itself. In just a few words, he had completely removed himself from this matter. Even Mu Qingyun couldn't find any flaws in his story. In fact, Mu Qingyun also knew that it was impossible for Li Zongjiu to do this. After all, the difference in strength was obvious. Chapter 432. Let's go. Since the auction can't be held anymore, there's no need to stay here any longer. Li Zongjiu stood up and said. At the same time, he drank all the water in his cup on the table. Go. Now that there's martial law outside, it won't be so easy to leave. Mu Qingyun said. They didn't see it. Everyone stayed where they were and didn't move. They didn't even complain. Before Sima Xingyan and Su Yan arrived, some people could still ignore these people because of their status. However, after the two of them arrived, they didn't care about these people. They had no choice but to behave themselves. Otherwise, they could easily come up with a reason to arrest them. The head of the Zhao family had also rushed over. Many big shots had already arrived. If they were to sit still and wait to be interrogated, they might be able to leave faster. But according to the way the Special Envoy Department handled things and the seriousness of this matter, they probably wouldn't be able to leave in a short time. I, Li Zongjiu, want to leave. Who dares to stop me? Li Zongjiu said faintly. The confidence that he exuded from his body had shocked everyone. Mo Suli's eyes revealed a faint approval. Although Mu Qingyun was also a responsible person, she wasn't very decisive in dealing with many things. Li Zongjiu, on the other hand, had a fearless feeling and even had his own arrogance. This was the so-called manliness. Li Zongjiu had never put Mo Suli and the others in his eyes. At first, Mo Suli thought that Li Zongjiu did it on purpose. But now, it seemed that Li Zongjiu indeed had such a temper. This made Mo Suli a little surprised. There was actually someone who couldn't be charmed by his charm. At the very least, they should have taken a few more glances at him. I'll go too. Kuan Erisher stood up excitedly and followed behind Li Zongjiu. Such a boss was really too cool. It was not a big deal to kill someone, but after killing someone, he still wanted to swagger out of the cordoned-off scene. Such behavior made Lan Kuan admire him to death. And from this point, it could be seen that Kuan Erisher himself was not a very well-behaved person. If something happened, he would not be wretched at all. He would even sharpen his head and drill forward. It seems fun. I'll go too. I'll go too. Shueiyue seemed to have heard something in her daze. She stood up excitedly and followed behind Kuan Erisher and Li Zongjiu. Shueiyue, you, don't cause trouble. If you go out now, you will definitely be put in a difficult position. Mu Qingyun saw that Shueiyue was also about to jump into the fire pit. If they went out, they would definitely be in big trouble. For a little girl like Shueiyue, this was definitely not a good thing. The two boys were thick-skinned. If they went out, they would be beaten up a little and be released. However, Shueiyue was different. But, we didn't do anything bad. Why can't we go? Shueiyue seemed to admire Li Zongjiu and Kuan Erisher. Shueiyue was also particularly close to Li Zongjiu. After all, she also needed Li Zongjiu's help. You three, are courting death. Mu Qingyun wanted to stop them, but she was powerless. Obviously, these people did not know the methods of the special envoys. Now, Mu Qingyun could only stay here temporarily. If something happened in a while, she would come out and give them some face. She didn't know if the final effect would be enough. Stop, the three of you. Who allowed you to walk? As soon as the three of them walked down the stairs, they were directly stopped by a special envoy. The commotion immediately attracted the attention of the other special envoys. Since there was a strange movement, they naturally had to investigate. They wanted to see who had the guts to act recklessly in such a situation. Zhao Jingxian was also accompanying Elder Zhao Quan and the others, explaining the previous situation. The special envoy was also recording in detail. Suddenly, he heard someone talking at the side. It seemed like someone was about to leave. Which idiot? If he wants to leave at this time, isn't he saying that I'm a ghost? Zhao Jingxian thought in his heart. However, as the crowd moved, Zhao Jingxian directly saw an old man appear in his line of sight. Fuck, why is it this old man again? Is it my day today? At this moment, Zhao Jingshuan's heart was filled with regret. One had to know that when Li Zongjiu and Yilantian had a conflict at the entrance, it directly made Zhao Jingxian want to die on the spot. However, in the blink of an eye, Yilantian was actually dead. Although the situation had become more serious, at least no one would find trouble with Li Zongjiu. And now, what was this guy doing? Could it be that after provoking Yilantian, he wanted to touch Sima Xingyan's beard? Wu Xiu, go and see what's going on, Su Yan said. His brows furrowed. If there was a problem, he should have just dealt with it directly. Who would have thought that there would be such a big commotion? Yes, sir. Han Wuxiu immediately walked towards Li Zongjiu and the others. When Han Wuxiu saw Li Zongjiu for the first time, he knew that Li Zongjiu was not simple. He, Han Wuxiu, had faced some extremely vicious people, all kinds of famous bandits. Therefore, he was extremely accurate in identifying people. There were two men and a woman. The woman looked like a silly child who was kidnapped and sold. The other man was this guy's subordinate. This was the preliminary conclusion. What's the situation? Han Wuxiu walked to the front. He was a head taller than Li Zongjiu, but he did not first ask Li Zongjiu. Instead, he asked the standing envoys beside him. "Commander, these 3 people wanted to leave but we stopped them. They were unwilling to cooperate and caused a commotion." The standing envoy said respectfully. Han Wuxiu understood the situation and waved his hand. The standing envoys stood aside and looked at the 3 people. Although they were surrounded by more than 10 standing envoys, they did not show any signs of panic. Either they had someone backing them up, or they did not have any ulterior motives. Even if they did not have any ulterior motives, they must have someone backing them up, or they were stupid. "I am the commander of the Special Envoy Department, Han Wuxiu. Please show me your identification." Han Wuxiu cupped his hands and said. Li Zongjiu did not say anything. Kuan Erasure took a step forward. He took out his identification token. "We are students of Heavenly Star Medicine Manor." Han Wuxiu took the token and looked at it carefully. Then, he handed it back and looked at Li Zongjiu. "Where is yours?" His tone was directed at Li Zongjiu. When dealing with people who were not simple, he had to be ruthless. He had to suppress them completely and let them know how powerful he was. Only then would they be obedient and subdued. Everyone had their own nemesis. Han Wuxiu believed that he was the nemesis of these people because he would not be polite to them. "I'm afraid that if I take it out, you won't be able to handle it. You might even kneel down," Li Zongjiu said indifferently. At the same time, he looked at Han Wuxiu with an indifferent gaze. When Li Zongjiu said this, he wasn't bluffing at all. Instead, he was speaking the truth from the bottom of his heart. However, there would always be people who would think that Li Zongjiu was pretending to be a pretentious prick. Such pretentious behavior was obviously not a good thing. If you insist on not showing your identity, you will be treated as a suspect. Han Wuxiu did not plan to let Li Zongjiu reveal his identity. He wanted to take him down and beat him up first. "Take him down," Han Wuxiu ordered. When he made the decision, he was extremely decisive. There was no hesitation at all. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.